Hello friends, how you all doing out there? I have my cup of tea here. You might notice something a little bit different about me today. My shaver ran out of battery halfway through and you can start to hear it going, so I managed to kind of, get around all the important parts and left this bit to be shaved off later on. It's charging beside me here, so I might do it during the stream, who knows. Anyway, that's the GME chart that's up behind me. What's that doing on the screen? That's the wrong chart. What are you doing, Rocky? Get on over to the cryptocurrency world. Check out our pal Bitcoin. Where's the one with all the drawings on her that I used? Here we go. So this is what we should have up on the screen. And that's the question for today's episode, really. Are we going to put in a higher high? Are we going to just simply see that as a lower high? And are we going to see a retest of that triangle thereafter? Are we or are we not? That's what we're going to be asking. And we're going to be looking at the Chainlink Ethereum and Tezos prices as well, and that's all going to be a lot of good fun. I see that there's already some people here watching along, so thanks so much for tuning in. If you hit that like button, then you're a superstar. You don't have to hit like for my facial attire. You can hit like just for being here as part of the whole Outcroptician community. Nice to see you, Zoner. Nice to see you, John. Nice to see you, everybody. Good to see you all. And so I'll just run the intro clip and then be back with you in the charts in just a jiffy. And Zoner chipping in there with nice porn stash. That's right, I've got a lovely jubbly porn mustachio on the go here. Look like a character from from Grand Theft Auto or something like that. I don't know. It's excellent, isn't it? Isn't it excellent? Robert Online hitting like for the hair. Thanks so much. Well, really appreciate that. Let's hope that we get some decent crypto technical analysis on the go here as well. So there's other reasons for folk to hit like. Nice to have you here, Dom Underhill. Have you all got a cup of tea or a cup of coffee handy? Be sure to get one. It's life's better with a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. And a handlebar mustache. I'm not sure if you're getting a good enough view of it there. So today we'll be talking about, are we going in for a higher high, and will that happen? Have we had one already? We'll discuss that in detail. We'll look at this triangle that we broke out of and ask the question, will it possibly retest this area for us? Again, we've already come down as low as where I drew this arrow in earlier on. I didn't actually, necessarily anticipate that as I was drawing this in to make the thumbnail for today's video, but there you go. Tea with ginger nuts, quality. That's good stuff. Good biscuit choice. Definitely a good biscuit choice. There's sort of biscuits that always stayed in the cupboard, when you were growing up because nobody really wanted them, and then you end up eating them a bit and they're an acquired taste like that. So at least that was the way it was for me, and I like them now. Let's see what the headline could be for our other friends before we take a look at this coin in particular, that of course being Bitcoin versus USD. Let's have a quick look over here at the CB charts and see how they're shaping up, if there's anything that we really need to be aware of over here. No, it all seems to be more or less the same dealio. We never came in and filled in this gap as a result of going towards the top side of that wedge there. Let's have a wee quick look at GBTC. We've not been over here for a wee while. Gap City as ever, constantly gaps on this bad boy. So thought maybe as well we might actually discuss gaps during the show today, because there's something I wanted to show you. I was looking at some other chart the other day and I thought maybe you might like seeing some gap chat. Here's Ethereum and it's looking like, well, more or less how we left it. It's a 12-hour time frame. Go up to the 24-hour time frame and you can see that we got support in here at the 236, moved towards the top side, and we haven't been able to achieve anything in terms of like pushing past the top end of wherever you'd want to draw your wedge in at here on this one, and we're kind of oscillating in and around about this territory. Going to have to bear in mind the obvious fake out territory on that one. What's it looking like over here on Link? Wow, the drawings on these things are mad these days, huh? And we're still respecting the following the yellow brick road chat that we had here, and that's good to see. Just hide the drawings because it's a bit noisy. You can see everything's kind of going along according to plan. It would be nice if this, you know, continued to go towards the top side at this stage rather than sinking back down and breaking any of this structure that we put in along the ways. You know, we just did respect this idea, then that would be nice for us, of course. Absolutely, it makes trading nice and straightforward. Let's take a look here at our friend Tezos and see that, well, in the last day or so we've come down and touched off of the median line of the parallel of the pitchfork, you know, which has a sort of a parallel channel aspect towards the middle end of it here, touching off this median line of the pitchfork. And that's interesting, having then come back up towards where our obvious resistance line was in here around about the $3 area, of course sneaking past it, going not quite, you know, quite just shy of sort of 310, coming back down again. And we'll have to ask a few questions about the structure here. Are we looking at any sort of potential pitfalls with regards to head and shoulders or like, or is this just simply letting things boil off a little bit before going on to the next leg of the journey? So that'll be something to look at. Other things then as well that I'll be taking a look at perhaps then in this will be, for instance, over here taking a look at gaps, because I thought this would be an interesting story for people. People like to know about what gaps are, and this could make a little useful side video. I haven't really planned this one out much at all. Haven't actually thought about it. Just know that there's a gap here that got filled. So how will we talk about this? Because I know that people are obviously in some worlds obsessed with the gaps, the gap boys as they're affectionately known. How shall we talk about the gaps here? Because what really gaps are is like big obvious horizontal support and resistance zones on a chart in many ways, and that draws a lot of attention to it as an area. So there's that aspect about things which ties in with that whole sort of self-fulfilling prophecy nature of what people like to talk about with technical analysis from time to time. And then there's the other aspect of it, which is more to do with like, how is the price action going to respond should it actually get to that area? And then, you know, the pragmatic aspects of gaps, as opposed to, you know, so much the sort of the airy-fairy talking about things, but like, you know, getting down and really looking at the brass tacks of things. And that sort of video would be helpful for people, but I think it could be good for people in the crypto world, because just like you say, Zoner, Nav loves his gaps. If there was a bit of a better explanation for them, or something that, at least not necessarily a better explanation, but something that got you so that you could get by, you know, that it was a video that was worth watching, nice and short and simple, but interesting enough and useful enough that it just takes you to that level that you need to be at, where if there's any more that you want to find out, you can go off and find that yourself. A nice solid foundation to understanding gaps then. Okay, so shall we just try it, give it a quick dash through, and then we'll skip back over to looking at the Bitcoin pricing and everything else as well. Of course, remember folks, you can always request me to take a look at a coin. I'll interrupt what I'm doing to go and take a look at whatever it is that you're suggesting at the time. And yeah, it's a little hi to the late adopter. Nice to have you here, by the way. We are bearish again, below the 20 MA on the daily, so that's good to see. You know, on link 2324 line on daily, I stopped believing in gaps after 9.8k never closed. That messed me up so much. Fair enough, you know, that's absolutely fair enough, and we could maybe look towards that as a nice area for the end of the ultimate bull market. That's something that we discussed in another episode the other day during a live stream. People don't necessarily watch all of the live videos because obviously I take clips out of them and make separate videos. So something that you might not have been privy to yourself was the idea that, you know, if the prices were to go up towards that 50,000 zone, that target, it's actually, you know, there's several solid technical reasons for why the prices could go there. Then we broke the parabolic trend in general at that point and went for a huge downward bear market from there, then it would line up fairly nicely with that $9,800 or so gap in terms of 80% withdrawal in the prices. You know, it's theoretically that's a fairly decent area for us to look to in the future, and it's nice to have it there. So we'll not give up hope on it quite yet, in the same way that the bull tars did not give up hope on that $11,700 gap. Do you remember that one? That was on the charts for a very, very, very long time. It was formed in like 2017 in one of the dead cat bounces after the, or 2018, one of the dead cat bounces after the high, sat there right up until we broke thoroughly past the 10k area, in fact getting close to it, withdrawing as well at the time. And that does take us down to talking about, you know, gaps and how to really, you know, incorporate them into your trading. There's another idea that I want to introduce to everybody, by the way. Good to see you, Brandon. Nice to have you there. Hey, brother, you see. So there's another idea that I want to introduce to you all as well in terms of trading and who you are as people. Something I'm thinking about maybe making some videos about and publishing separately here on YouTube, just to introduce the idea to people. It's great. You're going to get the whole sort of you heard it here first, folks, experience with me chatting about this. Maybe, you know, in the terms of the future, in terms of how people maybe go on to understand these things in the future. But I want to introduce the idea of the lifestyle trader. Now, I don't think I've ever heard that anywhere else so far yet. Well, and if it is a phrase and it's already been coined by somebody else, let me know. But I want to kind of explain how I look at this just now, especially having kind of straddled the divide in lots of ways myself from my own life, and what it is to be a lifestyle trader, you know, where what that really means for people. Now, I would kind of in a way consider myself to be a lifestyle trader. Obviously as well, I would put myself in that professional trader bracket as well. But the way that people normally talk about these things is that you've got retail traders and you've got like professional traders, you've got like institutional traders, and you've got these different groups of traders. And not a lot of people talk about like the lifestyle trader. And I think when we acknowledge the sort of the impact of globalization and the digital economy and the way the world is nowadays, maybe it's about time that we recognized the validity of the lifestyle trader, the person who perhaps, you know, wants to become the equivalent of a professional trader in terms of their quality and their approach and discipline and then outcomes from trading. However, it doesn't actually trade in order to necessarily pay their bills or to feed their family or put their kids through college. Maybe what they do is they trade in order to have a better lifestyle. And a lot of people in this modern world work in the gig economy. And you know, when you look at a person who is perhaps delivering takeaway food on a bicycle, you might think to yourself, hey, you know, I could maybe do that from time to time because it's a good reason to ride my bike, for, you know, and get exercise. You're not necessarily doing that job because for the love of delivering food to people, or indeed necessarily even for the money. If you're thinking to yourself, oh, I've earned enough money today, do you cycle home or do you take a few more deliveries? Maybe the joy of cycling the bicycle is really what's getting you going with that job. And it's easier in a way to talk about that in terms of nurses or doctors or perhaps people who work in other official capacities where perhaps, you know, what they're really doing is trying to give something of themselves back. So in a way, you know, you don't need to aspire to become the professional trader. And I think that helps quite a lot with the psychology of traders, especially for relatively nascent traders who are new to the market, because a lot of people have the mindset of, I really need to get my stack together here so that I can, you know, take my wedge to the markets and give up this lousy 9 to 5 that I'm doing. And that breeds a malaise, a sort of general negativity towards your own lifestyle. And it isn't the best atmosphere to be, you know, a trader in. And it doesn't lead to that really smooth transition either that you might be looking for to have if you were wanting to move away from your 9 to 5 to doing more trading as a professional and actual income-based part of your life. However, as well, there's also the valid idea of, well, hey, look, why should I aspire to be professional in my trading when I really love my job? You know, there's nothing better for me than looking after puppies, you know, and that's what I do with my job. I look after puppies all day long. There's no way I'm ever going to give it up. And the money that I get from it, it pays the bills. I'm not necessarily fascinated with money. Why would I do that? Well, there's this other idea, you know, the lifestyle trader. And I think everybody that's an Outcroptician already is a lifestyle trader. And if anything that I'm saying here makes any sense to you, why not drop a like on this video and hit that subscribe button and come back for some of the live technical analysis that we do. Because whether or not you trade 9 to 5 on a daily basis, or indeed, you know, 24/7, whatever it happens to be for you, or indeed if you just simply come along to the computer screen once a month, once a week, whatever it happens to be, every few days, maybe you hodl cryptocurrencies or other stocks and shares, etc., or investments of whatever type, and you're just interested in investments in general, and you think, how should I classify myself as somebody, you know, in this world? I'm not really a retail trader, not like that. I've got full access to the markets, because the world is so different to how it used to be 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. Your ability to actually get in and trade is now got so much less friction involved in it. For instance, just when we look at the fees involved in executing a trade, for opening and closing might have been $15 or something like that in the past, maybe just as recently as 10 years ago. Maybe you might have had to have phoned up a broker and put on a trade, and that sort of interaction isn't so great. Whereas nowadays you can just pick up your mobile phone and put in a trade, and it's easy and it's done, and you've got access to all sorts of different varieties of derivatives on there as well, without really having to, you know, jump through several hoops. So maybe, you know, they've got their retail traders who would buy certain things when they just read some news. You've got your professional traders who really focus on it all the time, and it's what's going to put their kids through college, etc. And then you've got yourself that wants to go on a holiday, watch a football game, and go and eat at a nice restaurant and buy yourself a new outfit and get a haircut and not worry too much about it, because you're just, you know, you're just looking for this as part of your lifestyle, etc., etc. Or indeed you might be part of the gig economy. It's something to think about. If that appeals to you, that idea, let me know what you think. I think it's a new idea that we're introducing on the channel, and I'd like to qualify all of you out there right now, because I know I've talked in the past about how I want to be surrounded by 1,000 good traders, and you might then think to yourself, well, hey, am I ever going to be in that group of 1,000 good traders that Rocky's talking about? Because I'm never going to give up working with the puppies, yo. I mean, it's just not going to happen. I can tune in for the videos. That's great. I'll take a trade every so often when I've done whatever due diligence I want to do, but I'm not giving up my life interacting with puppies 9 to 5, you know, etc. Whatever it might happen to be for you. You might think you might not be able to be part of that, and it's like, that's not true at all. You can absolutely be one of these fantastic traders that I'm talking about, which is professional in every single real aspect of what it is, what it comes down to when it comes to actually executing your trades and operating in the market. However, you could be just a lifestyle trader, and I think that trading will become much more popular over the next 20 years. And I can imagine the idea in 20 years time when people would ask each other, do you trade, you know, and then somebody could say, yeah, I do. I trade from time to time, and it's just a common thing that people do, in the same way that somebody might say to you, do you ever play poker, you know? And you know, you can have all sorts of different, you can be a professional poker player. Imagine there was a level of lifestyle poker player where, you know, you're not a professional poker player going to tournaments all the time, but you play poker a hell of a lot, and when you do, you take that money and you take your boyfriend or your girlfriend out for a nice bottle of wine and a meal. How about that? Is that something that sounds good to you? So anyway, let's take a look at the charts. That's what I want to talk about there, and I've done that. And this is, of course, the we're going to talk about crypto and all the rest of it. I thought as well, if I let the stream go on for a wee while, give everybody the opportunity to tune in, instead of it being like, oh, I'm late to the show, like some people have been recently, and saying afterwards, oh, have you done this, have you done that? Well, I'm going to start that instead of you know, ending the show with an hour of chat as I have done in the recent past. I'm starting off with a big chunk of chat. We'll run through the TA and everything will be gravy. And like I say, at any time, if you want me to sort of get on with doing something else, then let me know. Let me just show you briefly before I actually make that side clip video for Gap chat what I wanted to talk about in terms of the gaps here on the BlackBerry stock here. And I just take out the old drawing tool and pop in a wee marker there for us, a wee one here, a wee one here, and just draw your attention to several gaps that are on the chart, and just normalize this a little bit for you, because of course this is something something which comes from the traditional world of trading and isn't something which is unique somehow to Bitcoin or a new thing for Bitcoin because Bitcoin's traded over the weekends and other markets close, or other little misunderstandings that people have about gaps. No, this is absolutely something which is very familiar from the world, and there's different types of gaps which you might be interested in taking a look at, one of which is called a breakaway gap, you know, where you have a gap which maybe is like this gap over here. This is a breakaway gap towards the downside. Maybe you could describe this one as being like a breakaway gap towards the top side as well. These is also considered in some ways to be the examples of the so-called professional gaps that you might have heard people talking about. I'm not going to introduce any jargon or anything like that into the wee clip that I make. Just simply going to talk about how this is an idea and it's something that you can look into. But then how does that affect trading? Well, let me just remove all those drawings real quick again so that you can see. And in fact, we don't need these moving averages over here. Although it is interesting to see the this chart here having performed fairly poorly since whatever, that's interesting stuff. But I'm not actually going to do any TA on this. There's a lot of opportunity in this chart right now, I suppose. This is giving us an idea about that opportunity that could be there, unless this is a return to sideways. But I'm going to hide that. I'm not actually going to do the TA on this. What I actually want to talk about is this just an example for gaps and how we see these things obviously in crypto land as well. And and what I want to really point out is here how the prices made this gap, and this is obviously the one that all eyes were drawn to, because as you can see, this is also visible on the big time frames like the 24-hour time frame, etc. This is the gap in here which is on that 24-hour time frame. And then going back down to the 15-minute, you can see this is then the big gap there, and that's what everybody would have been looking at. But we had a couple of other gaps along the way, and how did the price action respond in and around them? And there's some key sort of ideas to be acknowledged, and just kind of putting a little bit of sort of putting these ideas out there so that you know that they exist, or just seeing it in a different atmosphere that's not crypto, that's not something that you've already saturated yourself with, might give you just a little bit of a better understanding about how these things are interact with the price, or how the prices interact in and around about these key areas, which then results visually in this gap. But of course, it's not actually necessarily this is a byproduct of the fact that trading actually exists in the first place, as opposed to it being the other way around. And that's maybe a key takeaway that I'll not confuse people with in the video, but that's something that you really do need to be aware of as well, of course, when it comes to this sort of stuff. Okay, so then we'll go on and take a look at the charting. Okay, cool. So everybody's all sitting pretty with that one, I hope. By the way, this is going to be, I'll hopefully say this good enough so that it stands on its own 2 feet to be a separate standalone video for people, or at least a little clip from the live thing. So don't run away off when if I'm sort of saying cheerio at the end of that, because I'm not saying cheerio at all. I'm of course just simply saying whatever, you get the point. My thingies are all messed up over here. No, don't do this during the live stream, Rocky. Learn your lesson from last time. Learn your lesson from last time. Well, they'll never learn, ladies and gents. Hi friends, I'm Rocky Outcrop. Have you ever noticed that there's a lot of talk and discussion surrounding gaps on charts, and what do they mean for you when it comes to trading cryptocurrency? Up here on the screen, just over there, I have the BlackBerry chart. That's something from the traditional world. BlackBerries, there used to be very popular mobile phones, and there's a few gaps up there, and it's going to help you understand what it is that we look at on the crypto charts when it comes to looking at these gaps as well, namely on, of course, the Bitcoin CME's future charts. That's where most people would be discussing gaps when it comes to Bitcoin. If you ever hear the phrase, there's a gap at $9,800 still on the charts, for instance, that's what that refers to. Okay, so here we have the 15-minute BlackBerry chart up, and there's obviously several gaps on here. Now, there's different levels of significance to gaps. The ones that are visible on the daily time frame, much more significant, and it draws the eye there, and it makes it easy to look at sort of horizontal support and resistance in around those areas. If I just reveal the arrows I stuck in earlier on, you can see there's several gaps in here for us to look at, and the most important ones in terms of the bigger time frames are obviously the ones which are visible on those big time frames, namely this one over here on the left. Now this one just there in the middle of the screen, that is on the 15-minute chart, and it isn't on the daily or the 12-hour or anything like that. And we did still see interaction when it came to the price action interaction around about these zones, and that's the thing that you really need to understand when it comes to gaps. It's about how the price is going to respond when it actually gets to that area, if indeed it ever does. And that's where the opportunity really rests for you. And it isn't just simply a case of saying if the price goes near this gap, it will then be drawn into it like an object being drawn into some sort of black hole past an event horizon. That doesn't actually happen, as we're about to see here. Let me show you this gap that's on the 15-minute chart though on the 24-hour time frame. As you can see, there it is there, and of course that did ultimately get filled in, and that will be something that we also discuss in this little segment. But of course, this is the sorts of things that we talk about on the show all the time. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and come along for a live stream someday, and you'll of course get this type of educational content all the time as part of that. And hit that subscribe and like button, I don't know, if you want to, that would be awesome. So here on the 1 hour time frame, for instance, we can see, well actually let's just do this on the 15-minute time frame. We can see that there was this gap over here. This is the big one. Whenever the prices came down to this area, this is really what then created the overall the gap that you would refer back to, would be between the price action here where it stopped in that wick, etc., and over here at this low at this wick here. That's where you would have been saying there's a gap on the charts at, and that's what that would look like on the daily time frame as the prices then went up the way. When we came to this 15-minute gap, by the way, this could be considered perhaps a professional gap, and one of the reasons that you would think about that is because on the approach to it, we didn't actually fill it in that snapshot way in a knee-jerk reaction. In fact, we came down there, established a degree of support and resistance, and then moved on away from it. Moving towards the top side, we had this gap in here on the 15-minute. As you can see, we came back down, and the bodies of these two candles are lining up with the wick over here, showing us this clearly, that there's a good degree of interaction with the prices. And when it comes to your trading, not filling in this gap here did signal the potential for more upside thereafter. Again, you can go and look at Investopedia and the like to read all about different types of gaps and what they are. Here's another breakaway gap over here on the right towards the downside, and that of course remains unfilled currently. We can see the large wick here, the two bodies jumping down the way, essentially the lack of the wick here on the subsequent candle, just showing the drop off in price from that zone. That remains on the chart currently, but it's really just this area between this candle and this one, and on the larger time frames it's not going to show up at all, so it's less significant, like I was saying. Then we did drop down the way and filled in this gap overall here, and this is what people would have been looking for in terms of a possible return to the prices when we actually saw a turnaround on this price action over here. How could we measure that? Well, if we took an area, for instance, the significant low before we actually created the gap, and that starts over here, and drawing a Fibonacci retracement and take it up towards the high, we came in here and when we created this other gap, that was as a breakaway gap, and it was pushing down past the 236, giving that insta confirmation that we have a real Fibonacci here to be looking to. And what do we see? Well, it came all the way down past the 618 golden pocket, down to that 886 Fibonacci retracement, and did indeed fill that gap in. And you get little clues there by tying certain parts of the storyline together. How did that look then on the 24-hour time frame? And it looked a lot like this. Well, that's the 24-hour time frame, and you can of course combine this with other types of indicators such as the Bollinger Bands, showing us that when we created these series of gaps and we came back down then to fill in this earlier one, this was actually just taking us back within the range of the Bollinger Bands, having gone extremely far outside of them. First off, you would have expected some sort of retracement. When we did get that retracement, you can see in the lower time frames, it was of course that breakaway gap led to the downside, and it's all about the interaction of the price in and around about these gap zones. Right, okay, cool. That might be a little bit interesting for you, and you can see the same thing happening on the daily time frame quite frequently for Bitcoin, and I'll just show you that real quick before you tune out of this little clip here. Here's the Bitcoin chart. We can see an arrow pointing over towards this gap over here, and that is something which is obviously a point of concern in terms of further continuation towards the top side. Well, a lot of people are looking at that as an area. Why would they be? Just drop it on the 24-hour time frame again and say, if you had nothing on your chart, you're coming at this completely fresh, and you're looking for horizontal supports and resistances and zones of liquidity and etc., trying to find areas that might be key point in the market, then obviously this draws everybody's attention to it fairly rapidly, as do the other gaps on there on various time frames, and you'll find that they quite often line up with key areas as well thereafter. Cool, excellent. I don't know how good this video is, but if you liked it, leave a like, I would appreciate it, and I'll see you in a live stream someday. Okie dokie. Now don't be confused, because this is of course a live stream. I honestly don't know how good that is. I wonder if Navanethan was here. If only Navanethan was here. Oh my goodness. Well, I'll have to shame him later. He would be able to tell me what he thought, if that was anything useful or not. I don't know. That could be considered to be part of that whole just saying what's on the screen thing instead of pointing out anything interesting. I'm not sure. It's hard to audit myself as I'm speaking live, you know. But anyway, that's that. Here we are looking at Bitcoin. We'll just run through the technical analysis now, shall we? Bring the drawings back up on screen so you can see all of my fun stuff over here. As you can see, big pullback here. This is the 24-hour time frame. Big pullback since we broke out of this getting the measured move. In a sense, depend on how you drew it in. I mean, it depends how you draw it in. Obviously, here's the full measured move, but we talk about this on the channel quite a lot of the time. You've got about that 60% measured move idea as well. But what really is coming in at that 60% zone? Well, it was, of course, our previous high over here. Actually, just think about this. Should I introduce this again so that I can edit this out and pop it in a live in a static video, just instead of doing a summary at the end? I don't know. I'll run through it and I'll do a summary at the end. That's what I'll do. So we didn't actually take out our previous high over here. So this wasn't a higher high at all, as we can see here. I'll just hide all the drawings, make it slightly easier to see. So we didn't actually get a higher high in here. We talked about moves outside of this and what fake out zones could be. So of course, in terms of how you would manage your fake out zones, we talked about this several times. For instance, when we had the take profit targets on this other chart before, where did we have the take profit targets at? Where are they? Where are you? Have I just deleted them all, maybe? Do you remember the other day I had take profit 1, 2, 3 stacked up there? They were the same ones as what ultimately got hit pretty much with that there. Where was it? For murder. Now we could have obviously gone for that full measure move. We didn't take out the fake out zone as we spoke about, yada yada already. Where was it though that I drew that other stuff in it? Key zones. Could we see hidden bullish divergence on the daily MACD histogram? Yeah, well, it turned out we could. As pointed out in the next episode by somebody who brought that information to light. We had obviously discussed this sort of stuff, and that's nice. That's obviously, you know, it's nice that we see that circularity of the information amongst all the other lifestyle traders that join into the show from time to time. As you can see here, you know, we did all three of our targets. This was yellow. This was obviously I mean, it's all been discussed, right? We've discussed this to death. What do we want to talk about? In fact, maybe before I film the episode, you could just tell me if you were to tune in, if you were to see a knife. Whoops. If you were to see a knife, what would you do? Stanley, nice to have you here, Stanley Knife. Nice to have you here, Trade Spotting as well. Good to see you, K-Doc. And I don't know if there's anybody else I've missed during this so far, but I think I've got you all. If you were to watch a video about Bitcoin right now, what would you like to see? Emergency warning update, huge retrace, possible failed pattern move, you know, some sort of clickbait, something like that. I don't know. Man with accidental funny handlebar goatee thing talks rubbish about Bitcoin. Don't know, that might not get so many views. That's not a knife. I see you've played knife and spoony before. Well, yeah. Anyway, also I never got any feedback as far as I can see from that chat in there about whether or not that gap chat was worth it or not. I don't know. I don't think it necessarily was. I see people talking about how Dodge went on there. Should we talk about Dodge during this? Oh, John, you said hi, and here's me missing it, says K-Doc earlier on with that face. That's cool. That's nice to see that. If I ever missed you saying hi in the chat to me, then I apologise. Navanethan, how the hell did you grow a mustache so fast, Rocky? It's just my manliness. What I do is I get up in the morning, put my hands together and meditate in a manly way. I sort of manitate and just go like that, and it just, there you go, ready to go for your afternoon impressing the ladies. Looking like a young Dave Grohl. Thanks so much. You know, actually, in terms of doppelganger compliment things, when people say that you look like a musician, my favorite one is probably Cornell, the Savage Garden guy, Chris Cornell. Yeah, you know him. That was a good one. So, and there's plenty of other ones. Hombre Tati. I wonder. He eats 2 cow pies a day. Helps facial hair growth. There you go. That's it. You know, desperate tan. The gap chat was good, says Trace1. Thank you. By the way, Navanethan, if you are just joining us, what I did earlier on this episode, and I'll be trying to make it into a separate clip too, so you don't need to worry about sort of scrolling back or whatever, but you can if you want, was I looked at the BlackBerry chart. So you'd see BB up here in the top, or you'd see the most of BB, because as I see here, I didn't have the full thing on. You see BB up there, and I was talking about gaps on charts, and I don't know, I was kind of making it with yourself in mind, thinking that you might Soundgarden. Thanks God, my brain. This is what I had the other day. I forgot his name then too, and that's a shame. When I was proud of the association, and I also a big Rage Against the Machine fan. It's taped on mustache to hide his identity. Yeah, that's it. You ain't seen me, right? Yeah, what would you like me to talk about if I were to have a thing? If I were to have a Bitcoin episode, for instance, like I'm about to make anyway. So what would be anything that you would like to see? It always kind of scunners me a wee bit. That's a Scottish word for you. Leaves me bewildered, I suppose. What it is, you know, and at the end of the episode, when I do one, especially if I do one that lasts for half an hour, and I think, feckin' hell, I really got a lot of content out there, a lot of educational stuff. I thought it was entertaining enough, and we talked about lots of, you know, those videos. I think to myself at the end of it, oh, how did I manage that? Because there was really nothing much to talk about at all. And here we are in that situation. You can see all of the analysis that we've already done really does cover everything for us in terms of Bitcoin. So maybe that's what I would just do for my episode. Maybe like an advert for the live streams and all the rest of it. I could say, shall I just do a quick one of them just so that you can see what it would be if it was just like that sort of content, less content? But I mean, like, what would you want to be more? That's the question. What more would you like? So yeah. By the way, don't go away anywhere. This is a real, you tuned into the right place when I do this video here. Hi friends, Rocky Outcrop here. Let's take a wee look at Bitcoin versus USD together. Thanks so much for joining me, really do appreciate it. If you drop a like and a subscribe, then of course you're the star of the show. Let's take a look at the charts. Over here you can see I have a Bitcoin chart that I drew up actually in the past. We're talking about hidden bullish divergence there recently enough in the charts, and whether or not that could be on the go. And of course this was in the past before we went up towards these highs. Then we came back down again, and all of these lines that we had from those days are still actually very much defining the price action that we're in right now, and it makes the TA really relatively simple. We have, of course, this downward slope, which was a part of a wedge perhaps, or a triangle. We have on other charts drawn in, plenty of them. You've probably seen it yourself if you haven't drawn it on the charts already. And then we had this breakout. Now the breakout didn't actually get the full measured move from the pattern. Instead, what it got was the 60% textbook, Bulkowski textbook style measured move, something we talk about on the channel, which isn't always talked about all the time, but of course as well, if you tune into the live show, then you get inundated with this sort of information. And then we didn't actually make it past our yellow line in terms of any proper closures. It's still the next target towards the top side should we actually secure this green line over here. So what are those prices? Well, the numbers are on your screen already over here on the axis, but if you can't read them because the screen's small, then I'll do the favor to you and read it out. 37,300, really, you know, that's an area we need to break properly. Then of course 35,000 is where that green line is, 33,000 is where that blue line is, and the red line's coming in here at about 30,700 or so. Well, that's all very well and good and everything, but what else is there in terms of what's really happening right now? Well, I'll give you a sort of couple of extra minutes of chat about it, but again, like I say, this is all discussed in the live videos. Be sure to tune in for them at some point. We've not taken out our previous high here, so we haven't actually broken the structure of the market. We're still technically in a downward trend until such times as we int, then we are, and that's just the sad case of it. And that's because Bitcoin hasn't managed to take out 39,100 and 39,300 to call it yet, and that's a shame, isn't it? But that's obviously very high up, so let's give Bitcoin a bit of a break and not, you know, cut it some slack. It doesn't need to get there in one solid singular movement. It still remains the target towards the top side. I'll stick another chart on with that pattern on for you in a second to take a look at, but of course we didn't manage to do that, and so far that's what we found, is that we struggled there and we got rejected from this previous high zone, and it is when we got the prices as high as the high 38,000s. If I bring up the oscillators and whatnot down below, you can see that then again we have this very deep low on the go, and this is the question: could we see hidden bullish divergence? Well, if this turns out to be, you know, ultimately just a higher low overall, then maybe that's the case. But how can you say that, Rocky, when our last low was over here? Well, that depends on how you kind of squint your eyes and look at it. If I just want to kind of draw this out a little bit easier for us, the 3-day time frame does me no favors. The 2-day time frame makes that a little bit easier. You can see that it came in here and really kind of equaled our lows overall in the 2-day time frame. Very much got that hidden bullish divergence, therefore, if this turns out to be a low. But how would that be a low? It would only be a low if we actually managed to take out these highs over there, and that's not happened yet. So all eyes on that yellow line. In fact, leaving the oscillators open, how can we say that this is going? Well, we've so far managed to salvage the trend. It's not disappeared for us on the DMI over here, but we are of course drawing our attention to this blue line here. Should we see the ADX dropping down past it, and of course this green line here, should we see the positive DM fail to take that out? That's the 2-day time frame. The 24-hour time frame, a little bit more revealing to the current scenario, where we've had the potential for a downward trend to be happening, with of course the ADX having brief moments above 25 and showing us that strength of trend towards the downside, as you would see during this overall big bear flag or bull flag or triangle pattern or area of consolidation and all the rest of it, after having had the highs come in here on the run up. So we can see that there on the 4-hour time frame. Then you can see that we've had, what can you see in the 4-hour time frame? We've another cross here, but it's still in chop territory, naturally enough. You know, until such times we really take out those structural areas above us, we're not going to see that strength of trend. When we do see it, it's good, because it means that, you know, we've given ourselves a really good chance to take away all of the pain of having put in all of this divergence here previously. So when you see these highs on the chart that we have up there running up to all our most recent all-time highs, and this divergence that you've got on the go here, then you need to do something about it, and that of course looks like what we're seeing there on that oscillator for us. In terms of the RSI over here, we did have the of course this hidden bullish divergence compared to this downtrend just here, with these 3 lows coming in and showing us the bullish divergence across all 3 of them. But the way it's structured over here is quite a pretty looking shape in a sense. Isn't it somewhat reminiscent of a head and shoulders type atmosphere? Well, it is in a sense. If you look towards your previous lows up here, it creates a neckline that ties together with the concept of course swing failures, which of course occurred whenever the price is pushed past this point over here on the RSI. Then we've seen that we've been supported by the neutral line and the moving average so far, all very rosy in terms of being able to go up and actually try again at getting that top side. So what the question boils down to is, where will we need to see the prices going at? If we want to kind of remain overall macro bullish on this, we're going to look towards a retest of that triangle. Stay tuned to see that in just a second. And of course, if we're going to continue towards the top side thereafter, we're looking at that key structural area of taking out our previous high, so that we're not just in fake out territory or indeed Bulkowski textbook territory for the pattern move. Moving on here, oh actually, as you can see, we came in and had got rejected from the bullish control zone on our first pass. Well, that's of course life. That's what happens, as we always say on the show. Stochastics showing us more or less the same picture here at these lows recently, but really, you know, we've ticked over towards the downside, so that's not so great. That happened the other day before our most recent highs. What would it take to tick back over towards the top side? Well, of course, taking out this yellow line, as we can see clearly on the charts. If we were to go down the way, does that necessarily mean that we're going to see a massive reduction in the price action around about these zones pushing on down the way? Well, it could do, and that could be the negative resolution, or indeed coming back down to retest the lower end of the areas, the significant areas of that triangle. Looking here at that 30,000, the stuff we already discussed already. Then of course, yeah, well, as you can see though, when we've been moving up towards the top side, you do get periods such as this period in here, which was really more or less of a bullish consolidation in the price action in around about the 26 to 27, 28,000 area before cracking on up the way to the 30s and 40s, and that saw this big drop down. So what you're looking for is of course to stay more or less above this area over here. If we do put in another low, that would be more bullish divergence, but then again at that point I think something's got to give. And then the final one that we might want to look at is of course in opposition to the tick on the stochastics there. So the stochastics giving you perhaps more signals. What's the quality of those signals? That's something I'm going to leave in your hands to decide. But what we're seeing here is that we got a positive cross on the no sure thing, got it back over there actually, you know, then we did have to do it again, and now we've moved towards the top side. Are we going to see that continue? Let's just make a quick comparison here, going up to the 24-hour time frame. See, that's still very much in a downward move over here on the stochastics. Well, I have to take it all back, don't I, because I just made the inverse argument on the 4 hours. So, you know, that's the story at the minute, and it gives you that impression. That's why you're seeing that chop on the 4 hours. That's what's happened as a result of this move back down the way. So we're asking, are we going to do that retest? Here's your triangle for you then, I promise, so I will deliver. So will it retest over here is the question that we've been asking, until such times we get a higher high or indeed a higher low confirmation for us right now. Then we don't know as yet. Of course, in terms of the 4 hour time frame, this is very much a higher high compared to previous ones, like, but it's a lower high compared to over there. On the oscillators down below, you see that we've come up higher despite not going higher. There's your hidden bearish divergence for you. So of course that would signal the chances of us getting a retest of that triangle to be fairly high. We can see the same scenario over there on the MACD at that, or the RSI at that point of rejection. Over here on the DMI, again, you see the same thing. Now this is all of course in the face of comparing a high versus another high where you've got two different types of trends on the go. So I'd obviously happily humbly eat my words there, but it does introduce an extra degree of caution into the discussion about things with regards to how this high didn't actually take out that previous high despite pushing so high up on these oscillators. Now, until such times as we've really covered off everything, then this is what we're looking to. It's a shame I didn't make this video earlier on today though, so that you'd all know me talking about the retest of this triangle, but I got to sort of stick to my somewhat schedule here when it comes to doing the live show, and we're still just waiting for the resolution of that. Until such times as we've got it, then we don't really know. Until, you know, overall we've got a low here which is followed by a lower low, so for anything, you know, this is our upward trend. You can see clearly here we're past the 236 point, the 382 as well on that, on this. If I were to actually draw it in, might as well draw it in now I said it, I suppose. You can see here that we're clearly past the 236 point here, and the 382, you know, coming in here offering us a support. If we pull back up the way, very good, all that good stuff. But if we don't, then coming back down is a retest, is where you're going to find your 618 on that. And then if we do move on down past this point, well then of course that's looking down towards Fibonacci extensions and perhaps movements on down below these zones, and we're going to have to reconsider what this bullish divergence we've seen really meant for us in the grand scheme of things. But at the minute things are looking pretty good. Okay, that's well too much. Okay, I need to do another one. Quick summary for people. Sorry about this, everybody, but that's your TA that is for everybody that gets the benefit of having tuned into the live video. Okay, that's your full-on TA. That's really good, great, excellent. I know that a lot of that, whenever it's kind of information overload, can just be too much for the lifestyle traders among us out there, you know, and that's totally fine. How about then we introduce that all over again in a way that makes it digestible in 4 minutes or less. Right, just be back with you in a second. Hi friends, let's take a look at the Bitcoin charts and understand exactly what's going on right now in hopefully 4 minutes or so or less. I'm Rocky Outcrop, drop me a like, hit that subscribe, and let's take a look at the charts. Right now we're asking a question. I think a picture says 1,000 words, get me towards that 4 minute time a little bit quicker if I can stop being meta about things. Higher highs or lower highs is the question at the minute, and we can see that the price action hasn't actually successfully achieved that with this most recent high, and that does draw in a couple of extra questions for us, because when we look at other oscillators comparing it to previous highs along this little stretch here, you could maybe make an argument for hidden bearish divergence. Now, I don't think it's a very strong argument to be made, and it could, but it could be made. You know, I don't think it's a very strong argument to be made. Here's the RSI, but you can see compared to our previous highs in this zone, just in this area here, we actually, you know, came lower than it in our price action, and of course higher. So you could make that case. What would that result in? Perhaps we think we need to really make that assessment if we do indeed get that retest of this triangle over here. In terms of the broader picture surrounding this scenario right now, what's left on the table towards the top side? Where could we go if we break down below? Here's a couple of quick answers. for you on that front. Excuse me for burping, got to crack on though. If we're still going to go for the full sort of so-called measured move off this thing, you're looking up to 44k. If we go for a downward one and actually break down the way, and this all turns out to be a rascal in disguise, then perhaps, you know, we're looking down here towards that 17,000 area, certainly moving enough to fill in the gap on the CMEs, which I would take a look out for. And by the way, I've published a video about gaps you might want to have a look at today on the channel. If we do then find support at this triangle and continue towards the top side, that would be tasty enough, because if we were to draw on a Fibonacci retracement, for instance, coming here from our recent low up to our high, we can see that the 786, the 618 golden pocket, all that kind of coincides with a retest of that triangle, and that is okay. Now if we actually go up from here, that's cool. We're successfully, you know, having done enough is enough with the retracements that we've had so far. We do have a couple of little things to look out for, one of which is the volume. We did get an increase in volume with our movement outside that zone, very, very good to give you that confirmation of a break, but etc. We didn't actually move past the previous, you know, exclamation mark zones, which we really need to do to start to look towards bigger and better things. So far all we've got is a move which is equivalent to half of a move within the triangle. So trading the breakout is obviously got inherent risk in it. If you want to know more about trading breakouts, check out TradeSpotting's video, which I'll link to at the end of this one in a card. There are other things that we need to know. We did discuss yesterday the bullish divergence here in the MACD versus these lows on the 4-hour time frame, giving you a good potential for a rise up the way. We've seen that happen so far. Are we going to get follow through on that or not? Well, let's see if we get the turnaround here. In terms of moving averages, etc., there's plenty of things that we could discuss, but probably take up time in terms of our 4 minutes, which I may well be past already. But where we actually came to on the 4-hour time frame was bang on to the 200 simple moving average with our retracement back down the way. We just got a death cross, which happened within the structure of that triangle over there. Something to be aware of in terms of the overall market structure. This might give you a better indication of where we could be heading next if there's a little bit of fluxing around these zones as you're trading things and you're trying to establish where we could be going. Of course, a retest of the triangle is a retest of the 50 simple period moving average. The trend is starting to look like it could be in a position where it could break out of chop in the lower term time frames. Looking up to the bigger ones though, we're seeing that of course we're just here at a cross where we have an excellent opportunity if this gets follow through, because this of course would be a textbook buy signal almost for us, almost textbook on the 24-hour time frame. Word of caution and with regards to how this all performs on the 2-day, if that's where you're looking to, we could be looking over here at the green line. If we get past that on the DM positive, things start to look very good. The ADX cross below this 40 line, things maybe got a couple of question marks about them, but there was one other thing up here on the 2-day time frame that I wanted to mention, which had some significance. Yes, the potential for hidden bullish divergence. If I hide all the drawings here, you can see that this low came in and it's more or less an equal low. It's maybe not just shy of that, so it's a slightly higher low on the 2-day time frame. And of course this looks like it could be bullish divergence then on this one. Very, very, very much there for us in front of our very noses. Something to be aware of if that turns out to be the case. Let's see how things go for us. And if you want to get more detailed information, because I did a really big solid TA session just before I made this clip here during the live stream, be sure to hit that like button, that subscribe button, join me for a live stream someday and you'll get all the guts and glory. Thanks so much, I'll see you then. I don't know, okay, I'll use something in amongst that. I'll make a video out of it. It'll be all good, right? I kind of, again, I gave you more information than you maybe wanted to have, but I don't know, maybe it went on for longer than 4 minutes, maybe 8 or 10 or 20. Gosh, who knows? I did say I'd try and give people more detail on the Friday though, but anybody who's kind of concerned about the level of detail that I'm giving, you might just know that on Monday I put in very nice, broad, structured, simple strokes. TA helps grease the wheels. On Wednesday I put in something in between what we're doing here and what we did on Monday, and then on Friday I'm just kind of giving you all the detail, everything else, something for you to think about over the weekend, etc, etc, and that's what's going on here. By the way, lovely to see you here, Julian Bonilla, my Patreon friend. Lovely to see you here, Patrick Pellegrino. Good to see you, John Torpy. Nice to see you, Matt Rodriguez. I've seen some YouTubers drawing extensions incorrectly. I started to pick up on it more after watching your videos. Hey, brilliant, nice one, thanks so much. Now I don't like to go around saying this guy's incorrect, that guy's incorrect, yada yada yada, but it is important to do things consistently, and it's easiest to do things consistently whenever you conform to the standard way that is so-called correct, right? Okay, and that's, I think, is the key as well, because sometimes what I get the impression of with people when they draw in Fibonacci's is it's a sort of like a very sort of like they don't know where to take them from, and that in that sense that they're struggling to find the area, and if they struggle a lot to find the area, then they're not going to be able to repeat it, and then in that case, how are they going to be able to iteratively improve, become self-reliant, actually, you know, make decisions based off of a consistent set of approaches to looking at the market, etc., etc., etc. So if you're doing anything wrong in the world, anything at all, and you're getting a degree of success, well, then by all means keep doing it wrong, you know. Investigate the so-called correct way to do it. We try to do things that so-called correct way on the channel, of course, as well. But yeah, so long if it works for people, it works for them, that's fine. Just don't put the label education on something that you've not sort of fact-checked. That's interesting seeing this having crossed, by the way, in the 4-hour time frame, isn't it, by the way? This death cross that we've got, and then the immediate testing of both of these things. You know, this as a general snapshot, this is quite and counterintuitively, it's a potentially bullish thing, because what we could see is that this goes and continues towards the top side. This kind of goes sideways. We get another cross here, and it's a golden cross that then has the price action being drawn into it, like that event horizon of the black hole, where you're getting a lot of action around the cross itself, and giving you that confirmation should you get a move one way or the other. You know, it could be quite a bearish thing as well. I mean, as the textbook would tell you that it is. You know. But so far, it's looking okay if we come in for another cross, and we simply get this operating in terms of that whole idea of where you can kind of pass it off as saying, yeah, sure, it's just a retest of the pattern that we were in before, you know, and kind of not get too deep on things, which we need to do to remain bullish on a thing which is ostensibly a bearish cross on two significant moving averages on a significant enough time frame, at least for what we're looking at, whilst we put in a lower high and we're in a downward trend on the daily time frame and below, because that's the reality that we're looking at. Okay, this price action here is a nice outcome from a tradable event that we discussed in yesterday's technical analysis with regards to that bullish divergence, essentially, and the question of this pattern and the statistical likelihood that it should break towards the top side, and that this is a bullish trend in the macro picture. However, we've not done enough from that to break back into that macro trend and get that continuation and that follow through. Instead, when you hide all of this and you look at it in the cold light of day, then you're going to have numerous different ways of discussing this one that are important to take into account. I'm supposed to have moved on to the other coins already, but I haven't bothered. Modified. Is this one of the? No, it's not. This isn't working as a good way to look at things. Wait, log. No, it's not working. It wasn't a good thing to do as an example, but whatever. You know, that was experimental. That wasn't the place I would have drawn that in from normally at all. I'd probably go bigger or go home, and or you could look at this in terms of just having a big old fat channel around the whole thing, and the sort of the highs, the lows, the interaction with the median line off of this, then the sort of failure, then the coming back down to the low end of the channel, interaction off the median line of the channel again here, coming back down, up, down, up, down. You can talk about this in a million different ways. It's all good. And whatever your YouTuber of choice is using to talk about it, it doesn't really matter. The discussion of things is like, I mean, what it always boils down to, right, is that you have to make a decision. It's just you have to have and it's you that has to make the decision. I could tell you what to do, as I do from time to time, but I try not to. You have to make the decision, right? Are you able to make that decision based off of information and what fits with your own sort of style of trading out of all the things that we've talked about? And is there anything perspective wise that might give you something that is maybe a risk factor you haven't thought about that could come in? As that's the sort of thing that I'm really going for here with talking about things, rather than just being incredibly simplistic about things all of the time. Why confuse? Why muddy the waters with drawing on a parallel channel around this to discuss things in that way? Why do that? You know, like why? Well, because it's all valid. Okay, there isn't somebody. There will be people out there in the world who'll say, you could look at what I'm doing right now and say, no, you've just invalidated what you're talking about in a way. You can't have your cake and eat it. And then there'll be other people who say, oh, too many indicators. You're using far too much information. I'm showing the interrelationship between all of this stuff and showing you how it all ties together, so that when the movements happen in the market, you're going along with it in that mode, in that, in your jelly, all mixed in with the moves, riding the waves, as the spirit guide should do. That's what I'm doing here, and also enabling you and giving you that confidence to tie whatever you know together with all the rest of the information in the market, because it's all the same story. It's the same song sung 1,000 different ways, okay, with 1,000 different voices, but it's the same, ultimately the same song that we're all singing here. And when it comes down to making your decisions, what you're going to have to do is choose the area you want to get in at, the risk level that you're going to want to take, whether hopefully that's somewhat consistent with your trading, as opposed to being arbitrary based on your how much you ate or well you slept or any of that sort of stuff instead. And then you can keep doing it and doing it and doing it and get better and better and better, and that's how you become a good trader. And that's what leads to you having this opportunity to become a lifestyle trader at any time in your life without having to give up the 9 to 5, is by fully embracing not that you need to choose a paradigm and that you need to stick with it. It's like, no, you can be adaptable, flexible. You've got the capacity to learn as much as you want. You can use as much information, whatever suits your tools. It's not, if you're able to learn about what confirmation bias is and extricate that from yourself, if you're able to learn about what FOMO is, extricate that, what trading emotionally is, extricate it, playing on tilt, all the different factors that will influence your trading worse than other stuff, and then choose your information, act consistently, then it comes down to you. And it's totally fine what you were to choose to do. You could dive down to the 15-minute time frame, be thinking about things like about this price action here, and thinking, look at this low, we didn't actually take out this previous low, we got caught by the 200 here. Maybe this is an opportunity for a trade towards the top side. Maybe what I want to do is check the oscillators down below. Did we have yes, look, we got hidden bullish divergence here in the MACD, for instance. There's one, just one idea. So maybe you're thinking, the type of trader I am is the type that uses a long moving average of, say, the 200 simple. I combine that with MACD histogram to look for divergences, to try and give me confirmation to go in ahead with the trend, having identified this trend on the 50-minute time frame towards the top side. And of course, then having looked at this and said, well, there's a couple of key areas above us which could operate as, of course, resistance and profit taking. Maybe there's a good reason why we came down to this area. Let's have a quick analysis of this here, drawn in from the tops down to the lows, saying like, oh, there's the 236, this could operate as an entry point for me. I've got too much on here. There goes all of my trons. Oh my god. There's the 2-3, that could operate as a decent entry point for me. Maybe I want to have a long position off of this one, and maybe I want to go long from here. For instance, I'm not a financial advisor, none of this is financial advice. This is not live trading on the tube for people. I'm not breaking any sorts of financial rules or anything like that. I'm just simply giving you education here, and that's not like the type of disclaimer you see in the back of something which essentially is analogous to saying, go ahead and ignore me, I'm just covering up and papering over the cracks. No, this is genuinely trying to give you education. I'm genuinely arbitrarily picking a time frame and jumping in and immediately choosing a position to show you how you can tie all the information that we talked about on the channel together for whatever circumstances yours are. And this constitutes how you actually go about entering a position, and then you might think to yourself, well, I want to manage my risk quite simply by, if we take out this previous low over here, then I'm going to just ignore what we're doing at the minute here, and like this is a fail for me here, or whatever, and I'm going to want to look for something along the lines of a 5-to-1 Fibonacci move. There we go. So we're talking about, like, maybe we go up towards the 1618, maybe our next target's 42,000 ish area, and maybe I'm going to manage my risk on this one by saying that I'm going to take one trade today on this thing or whatever, and that's it, and I'm not going to like keep trading it and over trading or anything else. Just going to be disciplined about my approach. I'm going to say, well, here's a decent chance this happens whatever amount of times, and it's your responsibility to go ahead and work out how many times success failure you'll get with whatever methodology that you're using to trade and whatever. This is an arbitrary example that I'm making up on the fly to give you that idea, but then this is fair enough, right? This is a fair enough example of one. You've got all the pieces there together. You're saying I've drawn on a Fibonacci, I've accounted for what the trend is, I've talked about the two, this low here. It looks like it could potentially be a hidden bullish divergence low. I don't trust it though yet because it's not a confirmed low as yet. We've not even broken the 236 as yet. There's opportunity here. Let's call it, so let's just say that we go in at this point here, and we'll come back and visit this example trade at the end of the show and just see how it got on. Okay, at least you've got reasons for it existing. Okay, at least you've got reasons for it existing. Whatever, right? And it's not a trade signal or anything else. This is just simply showing you how you would be able to take all of the information we already spoke about and act on it in your own way. Now, of course, equally you could be looking at this entirely differently. This is your high. You could be looking at this entirely differently. This is the most recent high that we got up here. Isn't even good enough to show us. Oh no, it has. Well, the first impulse up, yeah, no, actually, but the next high very much bearish divergent. We moved off of that down towards where we came down to. Pardon me. We've got that. It's not the right, but actually, I'd be leaning on the bull. Whatever. I'm not even getting dangerously close to telling people what to do there in the market. That's enough of that. It's enough of that. It's enough of that. Enough of that. I hope everybody's doing really well that's tuned in, by the way. I really do appreciate everybody taking the time out of their days to join us here, to be part of the community here, the Rocky Outcropticians and all of that good stuff. Friday, November 26th, 2021 is the next one I bought on Black Friday, and it was totally worth it, says Matt Rodriguez. I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm sure it's pretty good. I wonder what it was that you bought that was worth it. Could it be like something like TradingView subscription? Maybe something like that? I wonder. A couple of good low risk trades and you would pay for it, worth the money for sure. I wonder what you're talking about. I wonder what you're talking about there. I'm gonna have to read back up. I hope they all just sign up and hodl, lock up the liquidity. Diamond Hands. Julian Banana says group understanding, not financial advice. Yeah, cool. Anyway, nice. Everybody's chatting away in there, having a great old time. It's aggregated under the pitchfork icon. What are you talking about? I wonder. I'm so intrigued. Julie Manil says, great info, thank you. Well, thank you so much, by the way. And yes, Patrick Pellegrino appreciating the stash. That's right. Enjoy it, ladies and gents. Enjoy it while it lasts. I have, in fact, got it right here. Whoa. I have, in fact, got it right here to take the rest of it off if we want to end the show in a less of a Dirty Sanchez way, but we'll just see, We'll just see. Okay, anyway, cool. Nice one. TradingView, yes, well worth it. Get a better discount at Black Friday. I told all y'all about it on Black Friday in the Discord. You do remember, do you not? Anyhow, yeah, I told everybody on YouTube. I put it on a video. There you go. I do actually have affiliate links for these things if you want to use them, by the way, but no pressure for anyone out there. Ethereum, how are you doing? Ethereum? By the way, for anybody who doesn't know, I'm from Scotland. Right? We've got an international audience here, people all around the world. I'm from Scotland. This is Scottish technical analysis. I have Irish genetics. So if you're wondering, I'm a Celt. Yes, certainly a Celt here. And when I went to America, I liked to say to people like Desmond from Lost, if you ever watched Lost, it'd go, thank you, brother, and stuff like that. People are like, wow, that's just, it's perfect, right? You do that when you're walking around about Scotland, people are not so keen on it themselves, but if you're in a foreign country and you've got a Scottish accent and you say, thank you, brother, oh, yeah, people like it a lot. Or at least, I don't know, maybe in my crazy head they do, but we're born for that, I think. Right, anyhow, enough. Right, on with the show. What are we going to talk about for Ethereum technical analysis? We have already, like I say, covered everything really pretty well in recent times. Let's just do this one real quick. Hi friends, Ethereum technical analysis coming right at your pie face holes. Let's take a look at the charts. We've got a wedge up here, of course, as I spoke about. Actually, time to take away that question mark, wouldn't you say? It certainly does seem to be the case. If we break down, okay, I said that by accident, but if we break down the way, then the targets towards the bottom side at the minute still remain at the 1222 area where the 236 Fibonacci retracement point is. And if we look on down the way as well, we've got several targets on the way down. Let's just use the benefit of the wedge, I suppose, to draw those out for us. Of course, you've got the 382 coming in there at 1,000, and then the next area thereafter is, of course, $900. Okay, we've spoken about those numbers quite a lot recently. You could be looking down as well as far further than down there, but you know, it depends how you're doing things. What have we got here? Oh, Drew's Tech became a member. Oops, as I just completely messed up my Streamlabs. Awesome, Drew's Tech. Thanks so much for that. Really do appreciate it. Right, cool. Anyway, on with the TA. Thanks so much, by the way, for that. Yeah. Oh, I hit like and subscribe, by the way, if you're just watching this little clip on YouTube and you haven't done that already. Thanks so much to everybody who does so. Yeah. If we then look towards the top side, breaking up past this area here would take us up perhaps towards $1,800. That's obviously very, 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 very high up from where we are right now. It's not difficult maths. If you got in at around about $1,200 and it goes up to around about $1,800, you're looking at around about 50% increase. I mean, that's incredible. So, you know, should we be as greedy as all that? Maybe not. Maybe there's a couple of other little targets we should look to in the meantime, and maybe we should actually take the benefit for a couple of seconds of getting rid of this of all the bias and everything that having drawings on the charts introduces as we look at a couple of little things here. We've had these highs coming up the way on the price action, as meanwhile over here in the MACD we've obviously had bearish divergence along the way here. This is a high, this is a high, this is a higher high, this is definitely not higher, and then this subsequent one, of course, lower. Also, we also have no hidden bullish divergence to be talking about. This is the 12-hour time frame. Quick point of comparison, you know, you're seeing similar behavior here on the 4-hour time frame. Maybe in some instances you would call this class B instead. On the 24-hour time frame, then of course you're very much seeing that being the case, but this is the first impulse up, so I would like to caution that by saying that really, you know, you're comparing the big first impulse up the way, a little bit of bearish divergence thereafter, a bit of sort of healthy retracements along the way, all that good stuff. That's just natural, and we're not talking about anything really being, you know, getting you liquidated on your trading account sort of type of chat for now with regards to that. Of course, there's always plenty time to get liquidated down the road, don't you worry. Looking at this as well in terms of the trends, you know, we're seeing the burning off of this during this phase. Okay, fair enough, but we didn't actually come in any higher really in terms of in terms of, you know, real pushing on past any of these zones as we've been putting in divergence. It's almost as if the price actions come up towards these zones just to print on the divergence and then slink back away again. We have to be a little bit cautionary, but we also have to acknowledge that where is this happening? Where is this happening in terms of the price action? Well, let's put this into context. This is happening at, well, sorry, the history isn't on this chart. If this had the full history of Ethereum, you'd see quite clearly this is in all-time high zones, but there you go. Whatever. So it didn't come in. It's happening at all-time high territory, right? Okay, so beyond this zone, you're looking at uncharted territory, so-called price discovery. When people misuse that phrase, everything's always in price discovery, economics 101. But whatevs. And then looking up the way, you know, you're looking towards various other targets. So we could come up with some big upside targets. We'll not do that with regards to anything else because we're already talking about a potential sort of 50% move here. Instead, let's have a couple of little intermediate targets introduced to us. Bring the drawings back on here with a Fibonacci drawn between our previous high and of course our most recent low, and say that, well, out of all of these, this kind of lines up really nicely with the wedge. If we go for a 1618, so we could be looking up there at the 1800. What am I saying? That's their top target, right? Like we already discussed. But if we're looking at other targets in between, the 1272, the 1414, very, very common points for the prices to extend onto and then of course retrace back down from. Would it make sense if it did any of these things? Well, you know, if you got 60% measured move, like the textbook, like Bulkowski, if you want to read his Encyclopedia of Trading Patterns, would suggest that you would get, then you'll be looking towards the 1414 in there at around about $1,660 before perhaps having a retrace where maybe perhaps, you know, you come back down and retest this if you're interested in playing breakouts, because of course that's what we're talking about here, rather than just trading within the wedge itself, which is probably where you're going to find the most bang for your buck, by the way. So bear that in mind. And the top end of the wedge is at 1460. The low end of the wedge down there at the 1200 area, let's call it 1300 really, to not be too greedy on things. Then check out the video by TradeSpawn, which is linked to in the cards up there at the end there. So do that. Cool. And by the way, join us for a live stream sometime, which is what this is filmed during. Thanks, by the way, Drew's Tech. That was cool that you did that. That's going to make it into the Ethereum video as well. It's like your timing couldn't have been better for hitting that subscribe button, so thanks so much. That's cool. Actually, the join button, I should say, you have to get your words right on the world these days. You're an early supporter. That's really fantastic. Thank you so much. Appreciated. And of course, that is appreciated by everybody who tunes into the channel down the line and says, well, hey, look, maybe there's some valuable content to be had here. And then you never know, in some sort of capitalist, very Western mentality way there, you might actually really help some third party by increasing the brand value that if you like, of this channel, which I do believe has got some good content, which I think is nice. It's nice that you're throwing that value back the way. I really do appreciate it. What's the timescale of the scrolling ticker showing 100% increase on things like Cardano? I don't know. It's provided by Coin something. There's a website does it. It's a website. Sort of my chat. What am I doing here? I'm trying to figure out I'm trying to fix my screen layout, which I see slightly wrong. Whatever. Not too sure what the time thing is on it, and I'm not too sure even what the what it's like. Let's just have a quick look and see what we're getting here. So let's just check out who will be token. Let's just check out IOTA and the next ones that come up. IOTA, we're talking here. It's easier with this price thing up. 403. What was it? 4. That's pretty close. Dash 103.61. Let's see what Dash is. Dash 103.58. So the prices themselves are fairly accurate. Not sure where it's taken its increase from. Let's just compare that to thingy. So Zilliqa says 73.7. Is that the one that we're seeing on Zil USD? Is that the time frame we're seeing over here? This has got 24. It says 2%. What did it say over there? I've forgotten already. A lot. Damn it. Dodge scroll past it was at 1,300% up. Well, okay, so I don't know where they're getting that information from. Dodge. I wonder how you spell it or how you say it, by the way. Is it meant to be like Dogecoin, Dogecoin? I don't know. That's as plain as dry toast. Let's take a look at Chainlink. White bread. So, where are you? Here you are. That's Chainlink versus Bitcoin. We're not interested in that. Boom, off the 236. Ugh. In terms of its body, in terms of where it is right now. Sorry, not boom off the 236. This liquidity zone area again. Whatever though, we're not here for the Bitcoin parent. Nobody cares about that. Rocky. Bring up the charts full screen. Take it off log so that thing looks even more redonkulous. Zoom in a bit. Do I want to leave it like that? Kind of. I don't know. Sometimes when I see things that could potentially be like broadening wedges, makes me want to get like and I can't draw. Anybody who's watched this channel knows that fairly well. Makes me want to take out a pen and kind of do something that looks like this. Like, I don't know, like in here you've got a face, and then these are legs, and then that's a tail, and this is meant to be a dog with one of those things on its neck that stops it from licking at its own stitching and stuff after it's been to the vet. That's what I see, by the way, just as a little sort of like, I always think it's mad. Personally, I always think it's mad when I see other people talking about constellations and they're like, do you see the constellation? And I'm like, nah, buddy. I do not see the constellation. Okay, what I see is a bunch of dots, and that's it. But good, fair play to you. But they're like, oh, you can almost make out like how it would be like the thingy, you know? And I'm like, fair enough, right? So whenever, and you might not think that they sound mad when they talk about that. So who are you to judge me and think that I sound mad whenever I see this? Every time I see it on the charts, and I think about these things happening. I mean, who are you to say that about me? Anyway. Oh jeez. Shall we just leave it though? So it's more of a parallel channel. What are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about in terms of the chain link technical analysis? I mean, what are we going to talk about? Come on, guys. Come on, let's work this out. What things are there to talk about? Obviously, bullish conditions with the golden cross. Well, about, oh wait, somebody said something earlier on. Somebody said something. The 20 moving average, 20 period moving average. Woo, yes, brilliant content provided by the community. Let's put on the 20 period moving average. This is the white line. Something about it. What did you say? Were you talking about the 4 hour? Yeah, I think you were talking about the 4 hour. We're just above it. It lines up with the 50 period as well. The 50 period, the 50 simple moving average, not doing a very good job at telling you sort of crosses for entries and exits in terms of. Oh, I really want to eat the rest of that toast now. I tell you what, when we broke past the 50, great, but you don't know when to get out again. And instead, maybe you get out at this point here. So the prices have gone up, sure, from 15 to 19. But what happened to it? It was up at 23 in between. That's tough. How do you know when to get out of a trade, etc., etc.? These are the common questions that people have when they start trading. They don't necessarily know it. When you start, if you're just really brand new to trading, by the way, you might not know this as a question. But you'll go out there and you'll read, oh yes, you get a crossover, and then you'll think, oh, how do I exit a trade? How do I exit a trade? One way of doing it, just in real simplistic terms, would be to say to yourself, I'll be happy to get out at the 1618, for instance, and you might have got out at $22.28. You might have sat there, seen the price gone up to $24 and thought, did I make a mistake? I don't really know. I've got a disciplined approach to trading. I know that I didn't make a mistake in the sense that I did what I do all the time, and I've really iteratively improved upon it, and I've arrived at this point in my trading, and that's what I'm comfortable with. And not beat yourself up about it, because that's also a good, acceptable strategy, and also a winning strategy. And what I would advise, if I had to advise anything, not beating yourself up, improving, relying on yourself. But whatever. And then of course came all the way back down again. You might have thought to yourself, and I'm not looking at Fibonacci's here all the time constantly, but there you go. You could have got down there and said, well, it gets down towards the golden pocket, retraces from that area, takes a few ones out beforehand, moves up, goes past the 50 again, then maybe we'll go for it again, and then maybe we'll go between a couple of areas. Now this is just the easiest way of showing you this sort of thing on the screen. There's plenty of ways that you could do it. There were 1.272. We spoke about this earlier on with one of the other coins like Ethereum, in terms of realistically where you could take targets, you could take price your monies, you could take your monies off the table at this point here. Came back, we already spoke about it, so there's a bit of context for an earlier lesson, I suppose. Now it's always useful. What are we doing now though, which is different to this? Well, as you can see, as we floated around it, I took the 20 off. I was going to put the 20 back on and show you the dynamic that's there, but as you can see here, we've come up and then we've come back down and we retested it so far. We've not broken down past it. If we did break down past it, it would be a little bit concerning, wouldn't it? But if we don't break down past it, then that'll be quite good. How does that line up? And it probably yet again gives you confluence with other things, because there's always various things lining up here. So we came up towards the in fact, we did a golden pocket retrace here a couple of times so far in terms of that down. The next target towards the top side could be maybe 27, 28, or indeed 30 or 29.30, $29, whatever. So that could be what we talk about as well in the video. If we stay above this area, what was that again? The 50% or something? It needs to stay above that anyhow. Or else, you could be looking down the way again towards the 236. What else could we talk about in the video? The 20 simple moving average, that was a suggestion of somebody. And seeing the interaction with the prices, as you can see, breaking it here, oh good, then coming back down, breaking it here, oh good, coming up here, breaking it, oh good, finding support at it, cool, whatever. struggling, breaking it, coming up, finding it resistance, coming down, finding it then here as an inflection at no least, but as of course lining up where the 50 was at that point, moving up the way. Again, you're asking questions about where you get in and out of trades, and it's always going to be a question for you to answer yourself. If you were looking at this 20th period moving average here and thinking, well, I'll have a sort of consistent-ish approach to trading here with using a risk-reward ratio. And what I'm going to try and do is go for a 3-to-1 risk-to-reward ratio, and that suits me 3-to-1. That suits me 3-to-1, and we broke it here, and we're going to have something like where was the ultimate target? Where would you have had your tolerance exist at for you to say 3-to-1? So there's 3, that's 4, so this is 3-to-1 and around about here. So what you're saying is that when the price crossed over the moving average here, you're willing to take a trade, and that you would have happily stopped out the trade should we pushed on past our area of confluence here of one of our things that we've identified in the past, this liquidity zone in this area. If we push past it, then I'll be happy to stop out. That's cool. And then if we go up here, then I'll be happy to take 3-to-1 on my profits, and that's how maybe you would have come up with that as a target. Now that was done in reverse. That's fairly arbitrary, but as you can see, the prices pulled back from that zone, went up, and then went on beyond it. And if you had the patience to last out for an extra couple of days, you could have gone for what would have been a 3.5-to-1 or whatever. It doesn't really matter. Or you could have obviously have changed you could have obviously have gone for low risk, less risk, not necessarily low, but you could have said, well, if we actually even come down to that zone, or whatever, for instance, then I want out, we're taking out our previous lows there. Let's just say you based it on your previous wicks over here. This should be akin to looking at the Donchian channels at this point, right? So you'd be saying that we've broken the lower Donchian band if you wanted to, for instance, because that would be another point of confluence. Just take my word on it, doesn't matter, just because I can't be bothered putting it on the screen. And then what would you have been looking at? Well, maybe you'd have thought to yourself, I'd be happy to take 3-to-1 here at this stage, something like that, and said, and like, this was your kind of your move, came up, you got your profit. I mean, there's many ways to get to whatever destination that you want to. The common denominator is that amongst this is that it isn't a singular event. You're not going from this to the destination once. You're going to be doing this numerous times in your trading career. So come up with a method for yourself which you can then repeat. And of course, if this method ends up with you just losing all your money, then you're not going to get very many chances to repeat it. But if you find yourself repeating a method a lot because you're making money doing it, well done to you. You've succeeded in a way that 90% of other people don't. Why don't they succeed? Because they don't get told this information, right? This is the information that's going to allow you to succeed on your own merits, with your own skill. I'm just a spirit guide, right? Okay, cool. I might have greased the wheels a little bit towards you becoming that fully fledged lifestyle trader that you want to be. And of course, you're a part of the community and everything else, but it's going to come down to you, because at the end of the day, it's you that's going to be the one that has to make these decisions. Okay, whatever. Enough discussion there. Enough discussion. It's enough education. I think there's a good, valuable lesson for people to be had in amongst that noise. We're going to have to actually decide what we're going to talk about in today's Chainlink episode, aren't we? Maybe if I bring up my last one, I'll have some other ideas, because I'd like to be honest about it and say that if I said in the last one that we keep on hitting profit targets, that I should maybe acknowledge that I said that and not just come across as disingenuous to people. No. It's not disingenuous, it's fine. 24-hour time frame. Let's just make it snappy, eh? People don't want technical analysis, they just want to see my mustache. That's what this is all about. Hey, hold on. Hola, amigos. I'm Rocky Outcrop. This is Chainlink Technical Analysis. Let's take a look at the charts. We have moved up from the 618 Fibonacci retracement point towards our higher target, towards, let's be honest, not not actually to, but towards our higher target, and that remains in here around about the $27 area. Somewhere in $27 is a rough idea. Now we could go on beyond that. There's various reasons for it. We could be looking up towards, for instance, $29.30. You know, we could maybe not quite make it quite as high as that. You know, we've got a couple of clear areas to look to, such as our previous highs over there, and little things to be aware of along the way. But certainly we have done what we needed to do since we talked yesterday. We've moved off the lower area here of this potential wedge, which does, you know, look like it's the real deal, and we've started to move towards the top side. Few little things have been going on though, which maybe might give us a little bit more clarity in terms of looking at this price action. And if I just bring on, well, actually they're already on there, but I can't see because all of my drawings are cluttering up the screen. Let me hide the drawings and show you what we have here. The 24-hour time frame, there's two moving averages here. The white one is the 20 period moving average, the red one is the 50. We've got this sort of crossover here. Not going to put a great deal of weight on that, just saying that of course the more recent price action has been operating at a higher level than the average over the longer period of time. That's cool. All that's saying to you is that we're still in an upward trend. That's cool. That's any two arbitrarily chosen moving average points will give you that information. Really, it depends. It doesn't matter. There aren't magic numbers, by the way. Hot tip. Anyway, we have got the 20 period moving average showing us at the minute where our lows are here on various time frames. At the minute they were showing at the 24-hour time frame, that's worked quite nicely for us in terms of giving us our nice buy points. It's kind of like that wedge. I want to give a shout out to somebody, although I can't remember who it was in the live chat there that actually said that comment about this thing. So shout out to whoever you are. You know who you are. Mucho lovo. But anyway, oh, by the way, I'm doing a live episode right now. This is part of it. If you want to join us for one, it'd be cool. I'll see you there one day. And drop a like and a subscribe on this video. Hit that bell. You'll come back for the live one the next time it's on. Yeah, so we're moving up the way, and as we can see, was getting the 20 period moving average showing us to an extent where our lows are coming in on the 24-hour time frame. On the 4-hour time frame, showing us key inflections in the market. You know, as we drop down past it over here on the 19th of January, we did see the prices continue to go down the way, being resisted by it. Then, of course, when we moved up past it, we did see the prices, of course, moving on up past that area, and then coming up and down throughout this period. And we can also see the 50 simple period moving average here, giving us a good indication, like the 20 did on the daily with this here in the 4-hour time frame. The same sort of idea in terms of where our bottoms are. Well, of course, we have seen inflection in the areas where it's been inflecting around lower than both these moving averages. We've seen patterns, whether it's this W over here, this V over here, or whatever along the way. So we've had various indications for us. But wait a minute, Rocky, how come you're talking so much about the 20 MA? Is that just purely based on somebody suggesting in your live chat? Well, actually, to be quite frank with you, it is. But when we think about it, where have we heard this 20 period moving average at before? Where have we heard that chat at before? In fact, let me just make it so that it's the red line's 20 so you can see even easier when I make this point here. Now, a lot of the subscribers will know that I'm about to say, because I have given this lesson out numerous times in the past, but we know what that red line is going to line up with. It's going to line up with the basis line of the Bollinger Bands, and of course this will give you a lot more sort of additional bells and whistles on all of the chat that we previously just had. Bearing in mind that every time I said 20 period moving average, that actually is the same as saying the basis line or the median line of the Bollinger Bands. Let's just run back through the way and see the interaction that we've had between the price action with its lows and its highs, and of course the inflection going past the median line of this moving average. I hope this helps you understand as well the dynamics that exist with the Bollinger Bands. It's a little bit of a lesson for you in terms of the median line with the inflection that we've seen on the market here as it crossed over the middle point, and indeed with regards to the support and resistance we've seen here at the top and lower ends of the Bollinger Bands, with our climbing upwards, ever upwards, ever upwards, linky, stinky linky movements. Now, that's great and everything. Thanks for that, Rocky. Where could we be going next? Well, of course, we're looking up towards the top end of the Bollinger Band. Where is that coming at? $27. Cooly schmooly. Where's our support going to be coming in at? About $20. Cool. We kind of knew that as well. What if we were to move towards the downside? What could happen? $13, $14, something like that. Let's pop the drawings back on here. Let's take a quick brief measured move off of this wedge, more or less, and then give a little bit of context and say, well, you know, $16 could be a point that we go to as well, and they have these red lines down below. I would get worried about the price action, I suppose, if you want to use semantics like that, at around about $19.17. But otherwise, you know, all good. Still going on for our target up above in there at that $27 point where we got an exclamation mark here, and of course the 1618 Fibonacci retracement. Thanks so much for tuning in. If you got value from this episode, hit that like button. It encourages me to make more of them, and of course as well, hit the subscribe button, come back, watch these videos that I make that stand on their own, and join me for a live stream someday, because you'd be more than welcome. And bring a friend, because a friend of yours is a friend of ours. I'm Rocky Outcrop. Thanks for joining me. Let's dive back to the live video I'm currently recording. Hope they've not all run off as I've said cheerio. Have you? No, you haven't. You're still here. Fantastic. Well, let's see how that goes in 2 seconds more, whenever it actually gets around to it being live at your end, because there's a little bit of a delay factor, about 20 seconds, I don't know. So shit, yeah, there we go. I lost 3 viewers just watching that happening. I lost 10% of the audience because I said goodbye. I need to remember to stop saying that. TradeSpotting's telling me all the time, just don't say bye. Just don't say bye. There you go. Just say like and subscribe. You know, why didn't I realize that at the end there? Cool. So yeah, sweet, nice one. Scotty Sniper stuck the words Bollinger Band in there because he already knew what I was about to say, so that's cool. You know, yes, what we do on the channel is a mixture of reinforcing lessons that you've learned and showing examples of it again and again and again, getting you to master these few tools that we use on the show and integrate them. And because the tools that I've chosen specifically as well, a part of the reasoning for the specific blend of tools that I use here is that they don't really have any standing on your toes sort of going to cause you any real friction discussion points things there. It's quite good. I think I can deliver a broad enough, neutral enough technical analysis that doesn't really have any bias leaning in either direction, and all of the TA and the reasons for it to you without really kind of getting in the way of you doing your own thing as well. Can't remember why I started making that point. Yes, I want 6p now, not cent. Not cent. Dodge, close your 610 target, K-Doc. Dodge, close to your 610 target. Close to. So I thought Zoner was giving K-Doc a bit of advice. Dodge, close your 610 target. Close it now. No. Yeah. Recommend going back and watching the BB video if you're not seen it already, Troops. Are you talking about the one from the education playlist, right? There's a few videos on the education playlist that you might like watching if you've not watched them already, my focals. Elon and K-Doc ganging up to manipulate the market. I knew it. I knew Elon couldn't do this on his own. Michael John Scott says, I may get in touch with my Wall Street crew to give it a bump. ... I know what you're saying there. I know what you're saying. The BB video is quality, says TradeSpotting. By far the best Bollinger Band video on here. And by here he means Earth, by the way. Earth, planet Earth. The world that we live in, not the universe, because it would be outlandishly arrogant to say that it's the best Bollinger Band video in the universe, right? I mean, hundreds of billions of constellations out there with all sorts of different patterns. Who knows? There probably is a better one. Infinite universes, all sorts of stuff like that. Those sorts of theories really preclude any arrogant statements. But we can say with a degree of surety that it's the best one on planet Earth. YouTube. He narrowed it down a bit more. YouTube. Okay, it's the best one on YouTube. It's the best one on YouTube. Yeah. Oh no, the Earth. Okay, no, we're in agreement. It's the Earth. Right, the Earth. Right, cool. That somewhere in there, there's a video that I'll be able to make a snippet for YouTube. Yeah, I did it. I just did it a minute ago. My Swiss cheese brain almost prompted me to forget that. But somewhere in there, I'll get that video and be able to cut it out and put it on YouTube for folks to watch later on. So what are we going to talk about when it comes to our pal Tezos? Well, new ideas maybe would be good to have. New ideas. I can introduce this little idea. I mean, when you see 1, 2, 3 volume candles like this along here, right, it'd be tempting to say that the volume isn't growing, So this is a good opportunity to give people a reminder that they can easily put a moving average on their volume down below if they like, and see that throughout this period that the moving average, is indicating that while it's not got individual standard deviation points increasing, it has increased. But we do see this downturn in the moving average, and that's maybe worth pointing out that maybe we've had this slight decrease in volume. Take a sort of artistic, creative person to see it there, but there is this argument to be made that perhaps there is actually been, and as we can see with the moving average on here, a decrease in volume over the last 20 periods, which I think is fair enough as people wait to see how Tezos is going to respond. The obvious targets where people would have taken money at, taken their money at, would have been this point here, 222, 22, 22, 22, 22. Another obvious point where people would have taken their money at was 296, as we have in here, and we see the volume candles corresponding with this. Then we see the low in here on this. We see the low coming in there at the low of the volume, then the high coming in here at $3 or so, where the next one was. And then we came down the way and went down to the 250 target-ish, down 230 off of our significant green line. All this stuff that we knew about in terms of like significant zones, and then we saw the next one again, and it's kind of like you got your money, you put it in here, you put your money here, you put your money here, you put your money here, bang bang bang, and in between times you're seeing the sort of the other volume kind of tapering off a wee bit, and that's okay as people say, all of our easy targets have been hit along the way so far. Like these all correspond with the targets that we had in the past. So there you go. And there's now a degree of people kind of asking the question of, well, do I want to buy at loads in between these areas when that's where the inevitability is that we're heading anyway? And then we go back down the way, and it happens quite suddenly, so there wasn't much time for people to be buying in between or whatever. Back up again quite suddenly, and then a general sort of waiting to see sort of thing. So there's that type of, that's not analysis, but it's that's all the words that it takes to describe what instantly you can see when you look at this volume and you see these three candles here, where you see the interaction with the prices in around that zone, where you see the slight sort of downward movement of the moving average whilst we've had this movement. It's all right there. And when somebody says a picture when people say picture says picture 1,000 words meme, this, yes, good, right, back to being able to speak English, I think, again after that. So what else have we had on the upside? Bearish divergence on the DMI, obviously maintaining structure more or less. We're just down there at 20, coming down below the 30. It's not great. We never really took off in terms of this yet, which is cool, because when you haven't taken off yet, then it means there's still room to take off. As you can see, in the previous times when we took off and got up towards the 40 area, it was very much short-lived and came back down again. So it's cool that we've had these rises up the way happen and stay below the 30s overall in terms of the DMI here, and we're still in a positive trend. Well, it's not ideal, it's there, and this is a 24-hour time frame, so there's no taking that away from it. So that's that. So that's where we are. What about the 4-hour time frame? Yeah, volatility coming in here, so we know that there's going to be something happening. Sanity check that. Let's see, the last time this music stopped, it stopped there, and then the prices went up loads, ultimately coming back down to where they stopped at, but they're actually going very much further down in terms of their bodies. Certainly just came down here. It was like it was going to come back to where it stopped at, hey, almost, and then it did. Crazy. Then what did we have the last time it stopped here? Over there, it went all the way up, then quite volatile, I suppose. In this following section on the way with an upward trend. So it was like the winding of the spring, right, in this zone, and that's what this is, because there's a lack of trend in action. So it's a winding of the spring. So the winding of the spring has now begun again. This isn't to say that the price is necessarily going to go up and come right back down to where it was before, but we did talk about this. Did we not talk about this? I think we did talk about this here. I think when I said, hey, wouldn't it be interesting to see, I did say it then, and I'm not going to keep saying it again and again and again, right? I'm not going to keep saying it. This will be the last time. But do you remember, right? Do you remember? I remember saying it, but I'm just wondering if my memories are false. Certainly have a memory of saying it though. That wouldn't it be curious to see if this came up and put in a high and then came back down the way and whatever to this zone thereafter, and well, it happened. Now, is that necessarily going to be it? This could be where we see our higher low come in at. If we do have a higher low coming in, it could be around about 252. Pretty sure if I went back in time, I'd see that being said, that exact sentence. So are we going to see the same thing, and what would that put that in at? Well, our price of significant numbers that we talked about in the past already is 296. Could we see 296 be a subsequent higher low along the way? Overall, sure could. If their previous low was 270, before that 240, before that 225, 245, 270, 296. Could that be what happens? Could it be? I wonder, what would it follow in structure like GPS, as I said the other day? There's enough of the in-depth DMI analysis to kill a fish. We can go on the way now that fish has been killed. We've got a wedge over here on the RSI of some shape or description, or a triangle or a pennant or a blah 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 or blah blah blah. We've got this on the go here. You can't take a price measured move off the back of this, but you can certainly see that this propels you directly into either the bullish or bearish control zone. Overall, we're in a bullish trend. Being projected down into the bearish control zone at this point would probably just represent a higher time frame, higher low. 2-day with the expansion of the Bollinger Band coming past their previous low over here, not ideal in terms of that aspect of things. The 3-day time frame is actually less bad when you consider the straightening out that would have in time and how our last lows are lining up with this thing. But it's all the same though, so it doesn't really matter. 4-hour time frame, looking in here, 230. If we were to come down towards the lower end of the Bollinger Band, really don't want that to happen and break that structure. That wouldn't be ideal on the 24-hour time frame in terms of that. 12-hour time frame then, 12-hour lows coming in here. It wouldn't actually be a higher low, 554, but it kind of is, because this isn't a higher high. This isn't confirmed as a low as yet necessarily. So close to it. I mean, I would say that it was, but if we go back down the way here, then I'll discount that notion and I'll be fine with it. So should we find support at the 254 area? So there's that. That's enough of the RSI TA for now. How about some stochastics? Oh, cross over here. Negative cross right on the neutral line as we're consolidating. This is as much significance as this previous one that happened on the 28th of January there. So that's of course no real significance for us in the grand old Duke of York scheme. As yet, we're waiting for that to pan out. The fact that it's crossed over a couple of times is somewhat of note in the sense that we know that this corresponds with the consolidation, the lack of strength of trend that that we see over here. So we can see that there's a consolidation aspect of things and a lack of strength of trend and the winding of the spring, and that's visible there in the stochastics as well. Narrowing upward trend. It's obviously divergent, bearishly divergent as well, so there's that. Obviously bearishly divergent, quite bearishly divergent, as we've had throughout all these three. So we kind of need to have things settle out a little bit or boil that off. Hidden bullish divergence here before our last high on the way up, which then came in with a bearishly divergent high, putting in a higher low, which is convergent in that sense, with a high here, which is just, we're waiting for things to snap. We're going to get another big move on Tezos soon. That's what I could just talk about in terms of the video. No sure thing. Says we're still going down at the minute. That's not resolved. So the chances of this still being flux and then us going up the way are there. That resolve that 4-hour volatility. That's what I'm going to say in my video. I'm not going to be particularly predictive about things. I don't like doing that, as you all know. So just, if I err too much on that side of things, then feel free to ignore me. What ones do I want to talk about in terms of this here? Do I want to mention this in my video today? I'll probably mention a few of these things. Right. I'll script the MACD for now. MACD made it into Wednesday's video anyway. How's everybody doing? You all getting on there? Nice to see you, by the way, Arter? Artie. let's just see. Julian Vanilla. I totally tried to ride a few 2%ers, and then Tez all of a sudden started following BTC too much and made more regrettable decisions. Haha, live and learn and prepare for the next fight. Absolutely, always live and learn, prepare for the next fight. Thank you for sharing your story, by the way. It's not easy for people to do that. Tezos is my cruel mistress, he said earlier. She hooked me with some gains a while back, and now I keep making some bad or even trades after drops. Yes. Sometimes it's nice to have a palette cleanser to just say, hey, oh damn, speaking of palette cleanser, just remembered I threw all my drawings on a chart earlier on and then forgot to do the undo button, so I've lost them. Ha, whatever. Trading view, who knows? I'll probably just close this tab and I'll be back anyway. Might need to do a bit of a palette cleanser, sort of revisit some hard and fast rule sort of thing, just to kind of get on an even keel again, you know, with that, to identify what the issue is. Quite often for myself, I mean, you just shared a story, quite often for myself when I find this sort of thing happening, it comes down to a bad management of stops and that risk to reward target, where I've not really, you know, I've been too tight on myself and not as a result of lost out on the move that I actually did anticipate correctly, just simply on a basis, you know, if I've been trading, if I've just been doing some scalping, for instance, you know, or whatever, not scalping necessarily, actually just sort of intraday swing trade, intraday trading, right, okay, short-term time frame stuff, talking like 15, 30, 1 hour, stuff like that. I found that my tolerance level recently has been an issue for me with regards to being stopped out of trades and losing money and then going back later on and discovering that I would have made money. For instance, with this Dodge bullshit that happened, I didn't make any money on the Dodge stuff, or Doge or Doggy or whatever, worth talking about. I didn't make any money worth talking about on it, but I experienced a few instances of thinking this is going to shit its pants, right? And it did. So that was the case. But I'm going to ride this trend towards the top side. I'm going to manage it. I'm going to use stops. These are my predicted targets, etc., etc. And went through, you know, a series of losing trades. Now it's okay. It's not going to make a big deal because I can continue doing what I'm doing as sort of whatever. But I might need to kind of just think for a second, right? Am I doing this slightly wrongly? Because over here with Dodge, Doggy, whatever it's called, all of this movement from 85 down to 55, down to, actually went down to 38 again, didn't it? I think. I wanted to short this, but I didn't, because I just decided that after I've had a series of bad trades, I just think, well, I'll just not do that then. Okay, right, fair enough. Now it pleases me to see that if I had kept trading, that I would have been fine. I would have made money. Would have been great, fantastic, a brilliant trade, in fact, with a capital B. But you know, these are the decisions that you need to make as a trader and whatever else, and that's cool and it's okay. And sometimes it comes down to, you know, just little simple things. So we can all share stories from time to time about, you know, nobody's perfect, nobody is. But you know, so sometimes it just comes down to taking a step back, looking at what you're doing, thinking about things. Now, what I was doing here was anticipating a huge retrace and a move. Let's go down to the 4 hour time frame or something so you can see it. Like, I was anticipating this huge retrace. Where this going to come in at was kind of any man's guess at, you know, at certain times. The 1 hour maybe be even better to look at this sort of thing. So you know, there's and thinking to myself, when it does drop down the way, I'll do something like this, whatever, blah blah. But when it when it does drop down the way, it's going to be pretty shocking. And it was a 57% drop that there was in the price. I was aware that there was going to happen. I was thinking I could get stopped out, whatever, might not want to be in this position, blah blah blah, and managing things just slightly wrongly. And I can remember in here at this sort of price point, in it around about here, I can't remember the specific circumstances. I think it was just, must have just been trading it. big deal. I mean, I didn't have the Bollinger Bands on. I could have had them on. They probably would have helped in a sense. It was just managing. It was simply put, it was like I said at the start already, that I was just thinking I'll go for 2 small risk to reward essentially. I already explained the whole risk to reward concept earlier on, but if you're thinking along the lines of if you're thinking along the lines so excuse my language by the way, sorry about that. If you're thinking along the lines of how you're going to manage your risk to reward and looking at things and thinking that the potential upside is going to obviously diminished, then and you're wanting it to be along the lines of a ridiculous trade, then it doesn't tie in very well with wicks that push on past that. I just got a few, I can't remember, like this one here and this one here, whatever, caught me out and then I watched the prices go up afterwards. I didn't want to chase the trade, whatever, it just didn't work out for me. No big deal. Whatever. Why am I even talking about this? Oh, I'm just trying to thanks for hitting like, everybody who's done that. Just trying to make to normalize what Julian says there, because right, okay, everybody experiences issues for whatever times or whatever, and it can come down to the context. It could be that you're anticipating things that are going wrong for you. So for instance, I was anticipating a movement back the way, thinking this is a meme coin, whatever, not technical reasons for it. I wasn't looking at the chart properly at the time. I was also like looking and thinking that I was anticipating too small a risk reward, which meant that that where I would need to stop out at for it to be within my risk reward profile was because the smaller you reduce the profit taken, the less you obviously you can tolerate in terms of your risk, etc., and all of those factors together just meant that I had a bit of a perfect storm of not good trades, just not good ones, like whatever. So yeah, okay, so that's hopefully useful contextual information for people, just so that you know that you're a winner too, buddy. You're a winner too. You'll be a winner. Just sometimes you need to assess why it was. I'm fully aware of what happened with me there. I was kind of discussing it there for you, but maybe you've got a reason when it comes to Tezos for why you're making mistakes. For instance, and in terms of this is the 15-minute time frame here. It's plenty easy to see why things could have gone wrong in this area with the movements that we've had here, just in terms of just looking at this in the low term time frames. And yes, so we moved up to this price point here, down below 236, up again, noise here, failure when we broke down below that, go down to the 50% of the 618. It seems to have hidden the 382 on this particular one. That's fine. 382 probably gives a, like, you don't need to take a trade off of every single point on here, but obviously 382 was where we went to, back up again, then this inflection here off the 382 down again, and I just wonder if there's a reason for it, which goes beyond a simple series of rules on yourself and what your tolerances are, and whether or not you're looking at the right time frames and the right context in the market, and you're not putting some sort of extraneous information onto your head like this thing's totally due a pump by now, it's been ages, and everything else is doing, I don't know. Right, cool. Look at red coin, says Remo Lankin. It's going nuts. I don't know what red coin is. Red coin. Doing the whole typing it in didn't work. Red USDT. No. I've got the name wrong. So has it actually got 2 D's? Red USDT. No. Never heard of it, mate. Red coin even red though. Is red coin even red? Is it even red? Is it even? I'll look at it in a minute. I just need to do right, dudes, I'm boosting. You all have a good weekend. Thanks, K-Doc. Good to see you. Sorry that it took me so long to get around to doing the actual TA on Tezos, if you were interested in it or whatever, or if I missed any comments or whatever. Or just whatever. RDD. There you go. Remco Lakin. By the way, I don't know who you are. Are you new here? Let me know if you're new here. This is very, very much not like me to just pull up a chart when somebody says to look at it, but let's just see what it is. We're talking Bittrex, so it's traded in all the best exchanges. Wait, this is against Bitcoin. We probably want to look at this versus USDT coin. Calculated by TradingView. What's not actually traded versus it. Is it only available to trade versus Bitcoin? Well, then we're looking at what we're looking at. Right. I mean, that I don't need to analyze that snake there for anybody. I think we all could just analyze that ourselves. Oh, this is such a shit coin. Sorry, by the way. Pump and dump much? Yes. Is this the start of another pump? Could be. Good stuff. Quality. There's like literally no volume on this at all. Would I say that this is starting volume? Well, I'd like to, if all the starting volume in the past hadn't had a history of not actually starting anything. We'd like to say this is stopping volume. Well, I would like to, if all the stopping volume in the past hadn't had a history of not actually stopping anything. Oscillators all broken as a result of this. There's nothing to be learned on anything anywhere in terms of, you know, all of that. So that's that. Just try and smooth it out some more. Go up to the weekly time frame. Go up to the monthly time frame. Try and smooth this out a little bit. Well, we just retook the 50 simple period moving average there. That's good. Made you thousands by now. That's awesome, man. Awesome. Crazy chart. Totally awesome. Yes, I'm new. Haha. Thanks for looking. Yeah, Remco, that's quality. Normally, what I would suggest if people want to look at a random coin is that they donate to the channel, right? If you want me to do that. So it's lovely to see that you've made thousands by now that you wouldn't have a problem. You wouldn't have a problem donating to the channel at some point because you've made thousands and all the rest of it. So that's cool to know. I'm just pleased for you. So right, no, this here, there's no analysis to really be done on this. This is a ultra low value, ultra low cap coin, which is worth a fraction of 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 nothing, and then multiplied that by loads. I mean, loads and loads and loads. We're up 410%, Dogecoin style E, but this is a boiler room movement. It strikes me, unless there's a real reason for this, like, you know, up until now it was broken, now it's not broken anymore, or it was broken and then they fixed it, but then it broke again, but then they fixed it, but then it broke again, then they thought they'd fixed it but they hadn't, and now they have actually fixed it. Then cool. Is there the chance that it goes even further? Well, it's got form. You know, so do we pump up another whole chunk? Yeah, maybe we do. It's got form to do it. It could do it. It totally could do it. It could go up thousands upon thousands of percent. It could go up 1,600. It's gone up 2,200 in the past. You know, it could go up 1,500. You know, it could do all of those things. Absolutely could. Could it do it now? Yeah. Is there any technical analysis that's going to actually, that I could do and retain self-respect? Frankly, there isn't. Yes, I invested $500 at the bottom, so you know how much that is now. Wow, fantastic. How did you know about this? Like, was there a reason for it? I mean, nobody's ever heard of it at all. So you're up a lot. Woof, and it's still going. I mean, it's still going up, right? So it could still keep on happening, buddy. Join the Patreon. There we go. There's something to do. If you actually want me to look at a coin that I could actually give you analysis on, then I would. I mean, if there was anything here in the past which put this into a context which meant anything that could then be repeated or whatever, that would be nice to be able to provide you with to give you that context. So maybe we got towards the 2.24. Did that happen twice? Could we say that could we make any sort of, let's go body to body or something like that? I mean, is there something that we can do? 1.168. You know, so from this point on here, the sky's the limit. We could, because I mean, it'd be embarrassing to draw in a Fibonacci here down to those highs and lows and start to say that it's an actual real thing, going up another 1,000% from where we are now. But it could, right? It could, because this is the type of low liquidity, low cap coin on a somewhat untrustworthy exchange, only listed on one exchange where this is possible to happen. And who could do it? For instance, the core team that own the coin could do this just with some capital, pushed it up, and then sell off their own investment to the crowd when they come in. So that would be everybody who's late, not yourself, because you did really well. How did you know about it? Let me just see. It almost touched 7 cents, so 9 cents is not so far away. Absolutely. I know the effects of BTC going through all-time high. Okay, can I say that? Yeah. Honestly though, how did you find out about this as a thing? Just as you know, small caps will blow up huge when BTC starts to run above all-time high after rotating at its alt support. Yeah, cool, excellent. Elon strikes. I mean, that's the sort of thing, right? I'm gonna go back, take a look at XTZ because I need to do it, because I feel like I've got to get the work out of the way. You know what I mean? Hi friends, this is the yeah, I'm gonna make another one of those wee clip things now. Try not to go too crazy in the chat while I'm doing it, hey. Hi friends, I'm Rocky Outcrop. This is Tezos Technical Analysis. Up there is the monthly chart. As you can see, we've had a fairly good month. Actually, you know, that means we've had a fairly good year so far. Congratulations everybody. Hope you're enjoying the good times. Have we got further to go potentially? Well, we kind of do. We've come up as high as the 618 here in terms of the wick that, you know, with our recent highs up at 340, but we could obviously go on higher. This is of course a decent enough area for us to see a pullback from. Sure, we've had a bit of a pullback already. Let's see though, if we get past this, could be good things ahead. If we break down, could be of course a further pullback. What does that signal to you? Well, in a lot of ways the targets have kind of been met by a lot of people, and then of course we're waiting for the consolidation or we're waiting for the next phase, okay, and that surety, i.e. we're waiting for confirmation. I think that's kind of easy enough to see if I drop down towards the 24-hour time frame, for instance, and no, not the 24-hour time frame, although the 4-hour time frame to show you this thing with the volume. Oof, where's the 4? Was it the 1-hour time frame? Was it a different exchange? God, remember I spent all that time talking about volume earlier on. I was going to use it in this episode. Well, we'll scrap that. I'll obviously have to make this video again. Just skip it. That's for the benefit of it. All that chat that I had earlier on about the run into a phase where, you know, you're just waiting for confirmation, and that's what the market's doing. That's for your benefit. For everybody who watches the standalone video, well, they're not going to get any of that sort of chat because ran out of energy, I'm afraid. Right. Don't want these arrows on here. They're a distraction. Hi friends, Rocky Outcrop here, Tezos Technical Analysis coming at you. Hope you're all doing really, really well. Up there is the 1 hour, whatever, just make a new video. Don't need to have so many mistakes in the start of it. Hi friends, up there is the 1 hour Tezos chart. Let's take a look at that together. If you want to hit that like and subscribe button, well then by all means go ahead. I'll certainly appreciate you doing so. We've had these higher highs coming in along the way so far. That's accompanied with a good degree of divergences. We've had divergences here on several time frames, so we've got bearish divergence to be aware of. 4-hour time frame makes it fairly easy to see here with the RSI, with the DMI, with the MACD having it just here, starting off with a little bit sort of class B, but then of course with this whoa, actually, oh god, no, just can't publish that, can I? Right, last time. This is unlike me. Hi friends, Rocky here. This is Tezos Technical Analysis. We've been going up, and that's been good. Of course, there's been pullbacks along the way. We've experienced one recently, and we need to decide if this is actually been the pullback and we're going to continue towards the top side, or if we actually need to go just a little bit more and then go towards the top side, because there is a little dynamic on the go at the moment. We've come in, we put in a low, perhaps, although it's not confirmed as a local low quite yet, and we're yet to push on past a few key areas. Let's just do a brief technical analysis here though for people who are looking at the here and now with Tezos. We have the 4-hour time frame up behind me. As you can see here, we've got this downward slope on the RSI. It's the same on other oscillators oscillators as well. I know they're a bit itsy wincy in there, but we're seeing divergences on other oscillators as well. This most recent of highs that we've had on the go here, if you're going to be as generous as so to call it that, has only come in at the point here of this Fibonacci retracement point. That's actually a 50% Fibonacci, and it's a significant area for us. So what does that mean? It means that we're kind of in a sense sort of consolidating and around about a key area for us. That's good. What does that often go hand in hand with? Well, it often goes hand in hand with a resetting of the oscillators following on from some divergence. Then in a sense, is that what we need to see having happened? Yes, it is. And have we necessarily completed that as yet? Well, no, not necessarily. You know, we could still be seeing the prices continue to go towards the downside. Now, there is this moving average here. That's the 50 period. That's the 20 period. Whoops. Let me just put this back to 200 and to 50 so I can show this here on screen. Well, that's not ideal to be changing that on screen for folk, but there you have it. Quick tip, that's how you change your settings. Whatever. As you can see, very much still in a bullish stance with this upward slope on the significant time frame moving averages here, with a golden cross on the go on the daily time frame as well in the near future coming up potentially. However, you know, we could see a little bit of a pullback. If we see a golden cross here in the 24-hour time frame, then these things are often get retested in the period following on from it. Just, you know, like the 50 simple getting retested following on from crosses is all very, very common. I don't want to go and show you tons of examples. It's very, very common. We could look to that. That's just something to look to. Or indeed the 200. You know, let's see, the significant area for the prices at the minute towards the downside are 265 and 252. Breaking down past 252 actually starts to get me a bit worried, you know, but we could see that coming on the go on the way here. If we do move past the 50% point here, then great, groovy. We have next targets coming in along the way. For instance, 350. We could look towards that. That would be quite a happy and easy target to look to in and around about that golden pocket on this bigger time frame. It's the natural next target for us in terms of the context of what I've just been speaking about. So that's what we can look to as well. You got the top end of the pitchfork and various other targets as well, I'm sure. But then as well, so long as we stay above this part of the pitchfork, then you're not going to worry too much about the 260s, etc. 280 perhaps your target for a very sort of aggressive entry on this situation, if you already don't have one, of course, as well. Just need to see this kind of come to a bit of a resolution with its lower term time frame shenanigans right now. We have this upward slope overall. As we bring up the oscillators again, then I can remind you that this has got a convergent basis on the bottom line of these things. So we don't actually have hidden bullish divergence or anything like that. We do still have the divergence here. There is the possibility for us to see a retracement on this one. However, of course, we're in a bullish trend and we're consolidating at a point of significant support. Movements on past this zone which actually do take out the 350 area, and that is a possibility, would burn off this divergence. So if we see a sort of run happening, then of course you can reassess your profit taking and risk assessment levels on the fly. There's a lot of potential very, very positive stuff waiting in the wings for us. But if there's one thing that I want to really draw your eye to and finish off the show on, it's going to be this lack of strength of trend here as shown on the DMI oscillator. Just here where I've got this white band showing up in the background, you can see that there's the ADX component of the DMI indicator here has come all the way down to extreme lows. When we see this happen, it's often followed up by periods of a lot more volatility. In the recent past, it's also been accompanied by runs towards the top side. So it'd be nice to see that happen here again. This is, of course, a prime position for it to be happening in at whilst we're consolidating at that support area. Rocky, go ahead. You're going to have to come in with a couple of higher targets for the folk sitting in there and at home. You know, we know the 1618's in there at $4 here off the back of this recent low, high down to this low if it becomes our local low. So from where we are now, maybe $4, another whole chunk up, more than 20% up, or well, sorry, under 20, whatever, another whole chunk up from $3.50, more than 10% up, and then your next target 472 thereafter. Those would be a couple of ones to look to beyond if we do get some sort of stretching of the price action in the near future. Thanks so much for tuning in to that little part of the show. Remember to hit like and subscribe as well. And yeah, let me just read what the chat says. Lowe's profits were not in the market. I waited for alts to flatline again, and that's when I started to buy Dogecoin and Vergecoin, Redcoin, and also Digibyte at nothing. That's so great. Happy to hear you're making profit. Rocky will really add to your set of skills. That's fantastic. Yeah, thanks so much for saying that, TradeSpawn. That $500 was profits of Bitcoin at 16k at 2017. Well, patience patience has really served you well in the long run. Now, you did have a little bit of opportunity cost along the way, as you will have no doubt spent many sleepless nights thinking about, but of course you've now managed to come good on that, so I'm super happy for you there, Remco. That's a cool name that you've got as well. Remco, is that actually your name or whatever? I wonder, it's just that you're if that's your name, because Lakin or Lakin or whatever being a surname, it sounds like that. Gone so low, so waiting for some to come back up. ICX doing okay, Matrix, Dev Key, etc. not so much. Okay, so a little discussion here happening with regards to, you know, the capital S coins, I suppose, and there's plenty of them out there. Next one might be Stellar again. Just buy 1 cent coins and wait, they'll suddenly explode out of nowhere. It's because rich people that bought BTC at $3,500 sell at 40k and now start to buy it. Well, there's plenty of narratives for it. That's a very good one as well. Monero gets bumps as well from time to time at big profit taking points in the market. Cool. Right, you know what that means though, ladies and gents? It means we come towards the end of the show. Is anybody else wanting me to take a look at any other coins or any of that good stuff, by the way, or will I be heading off fairly soon and all that? Be sure you hit that subscribe button, by the way, Remco. This is the place for you, a community of people who are lifestyle traders. Some of them are professional traders like myself. Some of them were previously from that sort of badly disparaged cohort of traders called retail traders, often associated with dumb money, and they've become lifestyle traders over the last year, where in fact they're able to continue doing what they want to do and occasionally trade, or trade a lot, depending on what their own particular wants and joys and needs are, with a degree of success they otherwise never would have had, without feeling any pressure in their lives to somehow become some sort of inverted commas professional trader. And of course, you know, with time that'll probably end up happening anyway. In the meantime, they're happy, positive lifestyle trading people, so you might want to be a part of that in the medium to long term. Hey, how about that? So that's cool. What else are we chatting about in there? I hated the wait. Yes, that's your name. That's a cool name, Remco. That's cool. It's different. It's definitely different. That's the smartest thing to do every bear market, you said earlier on, so I suppose there's something that you're chatting about there. That's cool to see everybody talking away. Haha, I've still got pre-2017 Bitcoin trade spot on Ethereum too. Well, you know, well actually that's cool that you've got that's cool. In fact, if only like the idea about sort of clean Bitcoin or tracked whatever Bitcoin was, you know, really, you know, had any actual significance to it. It'd be cool if that was, you know, to be able to say, look, this hasn't been changed hands since here and whatever, but actually we know that Bitcoin's just liquid and it's just a ledger that shows you amount values, and there isn't anything such a thing as a Bitcoin. That a Bitcoin merely refers to a volume or a quantity of Bitcoin, which happens to be that number, but of course it just goes into a liquid pool because it's completely liquid, and that's that. So we know that. BTC pumping, says Remco. Let's go take a look. Where was my trade at? Anybody remember what chart I drew that trade in on? There it is. So there you go. Nice one. And it's in profit. Percentage wise, it's not huge, but it's up 2.4% since we got into this imaginary trade. Now allowing you to put your stop loss in profit if you so desire, meaning that there is actually a zero risk trade for you. Pop. Like that. There you go. That could be your new trade, where this is just profit. Look, this red line is profit that you don't want to be forced to take, right? And this green line is profit that you would much prefer to take. There you go. I explained that all as part of the video. By the way, Remco, if you're tuning in late, you didn't see that, so that's cool, but you can watch back this over this thing, so it's cool to see that. Good call, Rocky, says Zoner. Thanks so much. I wasn't trying to give a call out there, a signals thing. It was a pure educational thing to do with how you actually would take the information from a big detailed technical analysis session that we're doing and then use those warm juices that are now flowing to enable you to go ahead and start trading off the back of making your own decisions. And I kind of did an example of that at the time, and that's what that was. Anyway, you can see that that's obviously now a zero risk trade. Rich people like free coins. They see all alt as shit coins, but they are perfect to put profits on them and then hype them up. Sure, they do. So do boiler rooms, by the way, and pumping jump screams. So does Ivan on Text. You know, Ivan on Text, you can pay him, what's it, $2,900 a month, is it, or a week, for his trading signals group. That's a pump and dump group. It's cool. It's totally fine. I think it's a respectable thing that he does there, but that's a pump and dump group. I mean, ultimately, do you want to set up a pump and dump group until such times as obviously it becomes against the rules to do it? Because it's not against the rules to do it right now. We could absolutely do that once we get the community to a certain size. It could just be we could call it the $100 pump and dump group, right? And what it would take is for us to have 1,000 members. So and the agreement would be that you'd all put your money on to a coin like RDD at a certain time in the day, and it would be paid for entry. And if you broke any of the rules, or anybody broke the rules, then if anybody broke the rules, then everybody gets chucked out of the group no matter what, and everybody has to pay to get back into it again as a sort of collective punishment thing, something like that. I don't know. Right? And at a certain time of the day, every one of those 1,000 people took $100 as $100,000, went onto an exchange that have got leverage on there and traded it at 10x. So that was $1 million on a coin which has got no volume on it whatsoever, or whatever, and pumped it up a bit. We could do that ourselves, and then we could all try and get out with more than $100 back, okay? And it'd be a bit of a game. And if some people ended up with having lost, $10 or $20, well, hard lines, but that's what would happen in Ivan and Text type world. Whereas the other ones who were like more disciplined about things and got out at the right times, then they'd make money from the greedy ones, and that's the retail. That's how these things work, by the way. That's just like Elon Musk did. Just like Elon Musk did. I also spoke about Elon Musk recently. Everybody calling for Elon Musk to buy Bitcoin. It just shows a complete lack of understanding of, and I don't need to qualify. I don't need to say what they don't understand. It just shows a lack of understanding. Here's a guy. People are saying he should take some of his money from Tesla and put it into Bitcoin, when Tesla's outperformed Bitcoin this year and had done at the all-time highs by a factor of over 200%. Tesla had gone up by 700 when Bitcoin had gone up by 500, okay, or 400 or whatever. Had done a lot better. So there's numerous reasons why you wouldn't do something like that. And then there's also other reasons, like how you can manipulate a shit coin so easily and make money. I mean, why would he do? Why would he satisfy for that part of the market that exists, which is the sort of the altcoin daily subscriber, sort of that wants to watch news about Bitcoin and whatever, and be told that Bitcoin futures are going to be amazing. It's all going to be amazing all the time, non-stop. No, that's not a problem. It's just like, it's not a problem, and I myself indulge in that activity every so often, probably at least once a month, and indulge in some sort of like, the future is going to be totally positive no matter what thing, and think about things like how great it is when Micro Center buy a bunch of Bitcoin and go, yay. But in actual fact, the reality of things, when you're sober and thinking about things kind of solidly, is that's all complete bullshit, by the way, and it's really just put out there for by people who don't understand how the world works. Elon Musk now 20x as rich as he already was. Yeah, cool. Potentially, potentially send more rockets to space. He bought and then said one word Dogecoin after that. Now boom, boom, boom. Well, yeah, that and Wall Street Bets type thing and everything else as well, too. What am I still doing here? I'm eating toast now. People didn't tune in to watch me eat toast. Infinite supply, that's right. Dogecoin, infinite supply. I'll sell you this piece of air for 6 pence. eh? I'll sell you this piece of air for 5 pence. I'll sell you this piece of air, which I bought from this guy. Wait, I'll buy. You're selling air for 3 cents? I'll take that. Oh, you want to buy some air? I just bought some air for 3 cents. Here, have that. Oh, thanks. Oh, you want to buy some air? I've got some. There you go. That's trading Dogecoin, by the way. If the buck stops with you, and you're aware that what you're doing is that, then cool, right? You considered your money lost when you got involved, so that's okay. That's okay, right? However, if the buck stops with you and then suddenly you turn around and afterwards and you're like, what do you mean? You just took some and you just sold it to me, and we were just getting in a thing, and I take your worthless thing and I sell it to Dave, and the increase in the supply of the market is purely based on new entrants into the market in order to pay off the old ones that are already there. The only difference between that and a Ponzi scheme is that it's, you know, the disclosure is fully out there. You know, everybody knows. Whereas that's not normally the case with Ponzi schemes, is that people are getting duped into them until, you know, they start acting badly themselves and it becomes a real Ponzi. Anyway, yeah, I mean, you should have just held. Yeah, maybe you should have, but then again, infinite supply, it's worthless, it's a meme, it's based on a word for dog that I don't even know how you say, because it's not a meme from my country that we ever said before, so I've got no idea what this dodge or doggy or whatever is. No idea. Shit, where's all my air gone? Yeah, exactly. What do you mean you don't want to buy this from me? It's worthless, bro. But I paid 8 cents for it. How could it be worthless? So, you know, there's projects and there's projects. I know it's not an Empire biscuit. I wish it was. I wish it was an Empire biscuit. It's a piece of toast. It's a piece of toast. It's a piece of toast. Right, am I ready to go? I think I'm pretty much ready to go. Should I stick around? Is there anything anybody wants to look at in particular? Dogecoin? Oh, fuck it. Let's do some TA on what we all know is massive bullshit, right? Okay, we all know this. We all know it. Only 49% increase today. Only 49%. What is this? This is bullshit. This is bullshit. Wow, actually there is something to look at here for the first time. Tony would like this with the W nature of it, in a sense, wouldn't he? Wouldn't he? Tony, where are you, Tony? I should do this. Video for Tony. Hi friends. Quick video about Dogecoin. Dogecoin, how the hell do you say this thing? I don't know. Leave a comment down below and let me know if you know. Hit that like and subscribe button and join the Rocky Outcrop community. If you're Tony Wright, however, here's a quick video for you. Let me know, buddy, if at the top of this thing here we're looking at a W. Are they not meant to be reversal type patterns? I wonder. Anyway, what have we got here? And if we see another leg coming down, will we see an M at some point? I wonder. Let me know what you're looking at with regards to the top end of Dogecoin if you're looking. And by the way, you may never watch this video, or 3 weeks later I'll get a comment from you down below going lol. I wonder. Anyway, currently I'm looking at this and saying that we've got, pardon me, we've got a triangle on the go. We could break out from this either direction. This thing is worthless, by the way, everybody. This is literally a meme coin that has an infinite supply and no, like, zero scarcity. This is a zero scarcity thing. This is the equivalent of trading ocean water. So this could take the price of free air up to as high as, 10 cents. That's on the cards, right? It's on the cards, 10 cents. That's potential for another 100% towards the top side. Now, of course, when it comes to the downside movement, this is of course being the logarithmic chart. I'll just put it back to not log so we can see that this is of course realistic. When it comes to the downside movement from this, okay, word of caution, it takes you all the way down to minus 0.039 for your infinite supply coin. Almost impossible to believe the prices could go as low as that, though. They might get a bounce at 0. However, right, so long as the retail driven manipulation of this market, and we're all used to it from the bigger fish thing. So so long as the small fish ganging together manipulation of this market wishes to continue, then which is a nice way of saying Ponzi, then we can see the party go on. At what point it is that you want to sell your own particular Ponzi Dogecoin tickets, it's up to you. A good target, not financial advice, for the next pump up could be 10 cents. Enjoy it, everybody, while it lasts, because there will be tears, right? There will be tears when it ends. Thanks very much for tuning in. My name's Rocky Outcrop. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Come back for all your news related to Elon Musk and crypto stuff. Whatever. I'm just trying to make a joke here. I don't care. Just come back and enjoy the party sometime, right? We always have a good time on the show. We're all a good bunch of friends. We do technical analysis. It's really sometimes extremely educational and extremely in-depth and detailed. Other times it's just like making money, Just before tuning out, I suppose I could try and find that chart again that we're looking at, that thing that we're talking about over here. We had this little sort of suggested move during it. Now, of course, it's not financial advice, and it was just literally education, but this is a chat that we're having down here and showing how you could get into a trade. It actually looked something more like this when we started off, or whatever, blah blah blah, and now it's sat in a position where you're actually in a no risk trade, complete profits. Now, I'm not promising you signals or any of that. You'll never get that from me, but you'll always get education, which can lead to you being able to do this sort of thing on your own. And of course, we'll look at the random shit coins from time to time as well, such as doggy dodge thing, whatever. Leave me that comment, let me know how you're supposed to say it. I'll see you in the next video. Lol. Did everybody enjoy that as well? Thanks much, Remco. Good to have you here, and coming back again for future videos. When Dodge BTC flipping? Good question, Zoner. I want to know that one myself. Next time, John. See you later, John. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really do appreciate it. Frog face, crocodile, turtle, gecko, lizard, owl, and chicken. Fantastic. Or is that what we're going to call it? A cockerel, maybe? Or is it a turkey? Who knows? It's hard to tell. Yeah, cool. We've done all the technical analysis we want to do for today. I've even gone ahead and indulged in some Dogecoin. Good laugh, that technical analysis there, showing us the symmetrical triangle at the top, which obviously could take the prices of the thing all the way down to less than zero. That's a good laugh, isn't it? That was fun. Good TA, that one. Right, great wee effort there, Rocky. Thanks so much. Thanks for that. Right, I'm actually going to say cheerio to everybody. I really appreciate it. Remco, be sure to come back and share your millions of dollars with me whenever you do cash out of all of your shit coins. I expect nothing less than a top level Patreon membership. By the way, actually, I am pulling your leg there slightly, but I massively do appreciate everybody who does actually choose to support the channel, and I do genuinely, all jokes aside, aspire to win over the hearts and minds of all, and hopefully as well help you with your wallets too, the hearts and minds of all subscribers here, to the point where people actually want to go and click on that Patreon link that I've just shared there. Hopefully I typed it in right for me, and all that at some point whenever you all make your millions and you want to send some value back to it. It'd be massively appreciated. Hopefully at some point during this year I'll get the channel to the point where it actually provides me with an income which warrants my time. I would be making a lot more money, and money doesn't make the world go round, but be making a lot more money if I spent the last, how long is this, 2.5 hours trading on charts. As you can tell, how much has been donated? Zero has been donated this video, whatever. YouTube will give me something like in the region of 30 cents for advertising payments or whatever on this video. So I just spent 2.5 hours doing work. What did I do it for? For all of yous. That's one reason. Another reason I did it is for the joy, the joie de vivre, the love of the community and everything else, which is a really big reason for me. And another reason is because I think it's absolutely a really good route to having an element of my life which has got no risk in it, because of course I am a trader for a living, and this is a highly risky endeavor. At any time I could be rushed off to hospital and lose many thousands of pounds. True story. So I don't want to have to go through that again. I think it's a legitimate thing if I just then help share my experience with people, educate them, and then of course create a secondary income out of it as well. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to do that, to be able to call myself a YouTuber and actually when people turn around and say, whenever I talk about how I'm a YouTuber and I do live streams and all the rest of it, people think, wow, you know, and then they see the subject and think, wow. Anyway, Mitch Ray gets 62 grand. I'm not comparing myself to him, but he gets 62 grand a month. I think he deserves it. 62 grand a month from Patreon alone. I think it'd be nice to aspire to do that. You're all going to help me. But I tell you what, one thing did come from good from this is that Drew's Tech. What is that? All right, 1 second. Drew's Tech became a member of the channel, showing everybody else out there that there is genuine value here to be had. And then Ami Rinar, is this a Finnish name or something like this? This is a cool name you got there. I wish I knew how to say it. Arnie Runar Huverson? Can we go with that? Huverson? Tell me if I've got your name right at all. Arnie Runar Huverson. That's what I'm going to go with. Yeah, thank you for that. ISK 150. No idea what that's worth, but it's a quality to see that it's a what is that? ISK, Icelandic kroner. Is that what it is? Is that what we call it? ISK. Is that the Icelandic kroner? Are you from Iceland? Are you from Iceland? Anyway, it's coming up on my screen is saying that that's like you donated about $1. That's sweet. Thanks so much for donating $1. So, you know, it goes a long way. It really does. It goes a long way towards my self-esteem and confidence and all that sort of stuff like that. But I want to run this channel like a business. I want it to be that when it going in, that looking towards 2022, I'm saying, well, hey, look, this is now actually paying my bills and everything else. And then I can become a lifestyle trader. So actually, while I'm a professional trader at the minute, the idea that I introduced earlier on in the show of the lifestyle trader is something that I aspire towards, and hopefully you're going to help me get there. I'm a professional trader at the minute. I'd like to downgrade to lifestyle trader. I would love to do that. I would love to downgrade to lifestyle trader from professional trader. That would be my ideal. So this is a community of lifestyle and aspiring lifestyle traders, no matter what end of the spectrum you're coming from. Of course, if you want to, you know, continue to go towards the top, maybe even go off and start trading with other people's money, you'll be able to do that after not too long, watching along here and being part of the community. That's a possibility for your future if you want. But what I want is to actually become a lifestyle trader, right? That's what I want. And I'm going to do that through YouTube and this community and this wonderful thing that we're creating here. So really do appreciate it. If anybody wants to go to that Patreon thing, that's all good. And I'm going to do the reverse roll call, starting with Arnie Runar Huverson. Yeah. I watched that show Sense8, and on it there's a girl that's from Iceland. I do believe she's from Iceland. I think that's where she's kicking about. And and yeah, it's really cool. Is it Iceland though? I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to she's not from Finland, or maybe she's in Copenhagen. Anyway, I think it's Iceland. And yeah, Iceland's brilliant. I've never been to Iceland. It's somewhere that people keep on recommending to me to go. I'm totally going to go and check. There's lots of reasons to go to Iceland, more than the ones that your mum has. Over here in the UK, we have a supermarket called Iceland, and one of the things for it is the reasons your mum went to Iceland. I'd love to go over there and chill out in a geothermal pool. That'd be really, really cool. And yeah, I also think the history of the place is quite cool. Like the way that it was discovered by your man. I can't remember his name. You'll know his name. The Viking dude back in the day. You know, he went over, and then the divergence of the languages and how Icelandic is more like the original one, and all those PewDiePie fuckers evolved to have some weird modern version, and you still speak the original type. I like all that, and I also like how you told the banks to go screw themselves back in the financial crisis. I thought that was really, really funny. I actually was like, wow, go Iceland. Yeah. So cool. Sensei, so good. Yeah, I thought so as well. If you're able to look past, and I understand a lot of old school type people will find it hard to watch several of the scenes in there, because there is, like, you know, some stuff which is sexually challenging, you could say. But it's really good. And if you're a comfortable, secure, modern individual, then there's no problem with watching it. I thought there were some really nice ideas in there, certainly some really cool, colorful scenes and stuff like that. Some nice, cool ideas. I thought it was a good idea for a show. Some great characters in it. Why am I still here? I can't remember. I'm gonna have to say cheerio. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's it. Another successful live stream. This live stream would be nothing without all of you. And I'm going to do a roll call, a reverse roll call, going back up the way, going through the last 200 comments on the chat to see everybody's names, so you'll get a shout out just in case I missed anybody, and of course to say thank you to you. It cost me nothing to just take a couple of minutes here at the end to say thank you to all of you, show you my genuine appreciation for you tuning in. I hope that extends out to as well everybody that's with you who hasn't commented, because I know that there could easily be more people in the room if the likes of, you know, wives, families, daughters, husbands, all the rest of it. If you've been exposed to my Scottish droll in the background, I hope that you have had a good time, and thank you so much for your patience letting your loved one and family member watch the show as well. So that's great. So cool. Remco Lakin, my future Patreon, he's looking forward, of course, to donating to the channel. I'm really looking forward to seeing what level he chooses to subscribe to, so that's cool. Thanks so much, Remco. Thanks so much to Tradespawn for being the ever-present spanner. Thank you so much for coming for that chat. You can see, by the way, as I'm tuning out, that the chat here is still going on in the group there. Totally keep it up. You're allowed to keep on chatting for as much as you like. I'm just running through the reverse thing, and in fact I'll leave the stream running for 5 minutes or so at the end as well, just so you can keep chatting to each other if you've got anything else to say. So it's all good, you know. We got K King here. Had a good day trading yesterday. Good one. Yes, you mentioned something that went up a bunch, and then I presume that you took profit on it and whatever else. And yeah, good man. Well done to you. Quality stuff that as well. I'm super happy. You know, it's super great to have the likes of yourself, Kevin, and everybody else here as this new thing, like this. Are you a trader? Yeah, you are. You are a trader. You're a trader. What are you though? Are you one of these retail traders? Are you an institutional trader? Are you a professional trader? What are you? No, you're a lifestyle trader. You've got more things involved in your life that you do. I mean, you've got a job that you do for more reasons than simply money. You trade for more reasons than simply money, and the two of them come together in the middle, and that's where you find yourself, and you're a lifestyle trader, and that's cool, and you're Rocky Outcroptician, and I appreciate you tuning in here, and that's that. So cool. Thanks Tradespawn, thanks Kevin, thanks Remco, my future Patreon, thanks Nightbot, hey, shout out to the bot, thanks Artie, good to have you here. Artie, of course, forever getting legendary status, along with Michael John Scott for their donations to the channel so far. Still influencing my stats on analytics. Zero income, ping, big spike up and down when Artie and Michael John Scott donated to the channel, and then back down to zero again. Good laugh that. Looking back, it's easy to spot that day that made me smile, and other things so much. Arnie Runar Huverson, thank you so much for joining in. My first Icelandic friend. It's cool to have an Icelandic friend. Remco, good to have you again. Bloody hell, why am I giving you so many shoutouts? You don't deserve them. You're not a Patreon yet. I'll give you more shoutouts whenever you become a member and all the rest of it, Remco. Gonna have to treat you mean, keep you keen. And then we also had, who else did we have? Zoner 3000 Trin, John, Michael John Scott. We also had I know we had a bunch of other people, just need to see their names coming up. They're not in the last 200 messages quite yet. Julian, great, fantastic guy, really do appreciate him being here this evening as ever. We also had, I mean, I'm sure we had Matty Rodriguez was in here earlier on as well. I think we had Patrick Pellegrino, just saying him off the top of my head at this point. Scotty Sniper. We had, who else did we have? I can't remember who else we had. I had a bunch of people. K-Doc as well. There's just too many people. Just the last 200 messages don't have the chat in there, so I can't see it. Okay, so that's where we have it. That's where we are. That's what we've done. We've gone to the end of the show. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes in. A whole load of chat, a whole bunch of TA, hopefully some good information for you out there. If you want to become a subscriber, that's massively appreciated as ever. Of course it is. If you want to become a member of the channel, that's obviously massively appreciated as well. Do appreciate that and everything else. But if you simply just hit the like button and tell your friends about me and come back for the next stream, then I think you're doing an awful lot to help the channel, and that's really appreciated too. Okay, cool. Good luck trading out there. By the way, as you can see here with the most recent time, that if we had have kept that trade going, and we talked about it being a sort of no risk trade, then we have stopped out in profit, I suppose, here at somewhere in amongst this zone on that one. That was to be expected overall. This is just simply a low, a high, a higher low, a higher high, a higher low. This relates back to what I talked about earlier on in terms of how I traded Dogecoin ineffectively the last night. Whatever, it was like 3 a.m. I didn't even want to be doing it in the first place, and then and how you would want to manage risk and what it is to have a tolerance or whatever, and to know that sometimes you win them, sometimes you lose them. If this had been a winning trade up 2%, came back down, went to 236 and then came back down below the thing and you stopped out, that would be a bit of a problem in a way, but it still will be a 5-to-1 trade, perfectly valid one to take. Whatever else and all that, it's a good one, but it's at 236 now. Coming back to here was not a surprise. I really just wanted to show people how they could have changed it to be a no risk trade at that point. It certainly wasn't financial advice. I think I was pretty clear about that at the time. Okie dokie, and I am going to say goodbye. I'm going to flick over to the final screen, just put up the Bitcoin chart or whatever, let the chat box run on a wee bit so that you all get to continue to say stuff to each other and all that as well. There will be buyers on the 21 MA weekly a lot, so it'll bounce the first time coming close to it or dump through it first. It will wick up fast. It's a nice way to get profits very fast, says Remco. So there you have it. Here's somebody who's already got his own particular methodology from trading. There's more detail to be had there from him. You need to find out what time frames he was talking about. Is it just a simple moving average or the exponential moving average he's talking about? How does he like to trade it? Is it on the test? Is it on the retest or the break back through again thereafter? Plenty of nuances. There's always a tacit element when it comes to trading. Even if I tried to tell you exact moves and everything I was making, there's always be a tacit element to. Tacit means unspoken or unexplained, unspoken, unknown, if you like, element to trading, and that might not be readily apparent. Just like how we don't know exactly how Remco's doing his thing there, for instance. I'm expecting to hold for 3 to 6 months because it's a new project, says Kevin, although he just got lucky. So you got lucky, so there we go. Oh, Save with Crypto, I'm late again. What did I miss? You missed the roll call. I didn't give you a shout out. Save with Crypto, good to have you here. BTC going bad, maybe. Promise to be on time next time. Well, you didn't miss out on too much. You could totally go ahead and watch the whole stream again. Now you can skip amongst it, I'm sure, and all that, but there's tons of good stuff in here for the weekend in terms of technical analysis. We talked about Bitcoin quite a bit. We started off talking about Bitcoin, went through the coins, did a quick summary about what we would talk about later, came back to look at them again. Then after having discussed several other things, I talked about gaps, for instance, looking at the BlackBerry chart at the start of the show before going back to doing TA. So when you're flicking through the video, you might find it a little bit confusing because it's not the same format where I just start off with Bitcoin. I started off with different things. You'll see it in there though, the ticker up the top nice and big, or the symbol nice and big, so you can see what it is that we're talking about. And we did cover quite a lot in detail. Now we've gone up towards the top side. We did break out of that wedge, however we didn't take out the previous lower high, and in fact we've just come up to the extreme point of fake out territory, or indeed the Bulkowski textbook pattern measured move for that particular pattern in this phase of the market. So we've done what we needed to do in that sense. Subsequently retrace back down the way, tentatively finding support in around certain areas. We could potentially be looking towards a little bit of upside movement if we see the 236 right here right now, for instance, on this particular oscillation be respected. That remains to be seen. We're right there right now. That's happening sort of in front of our faces. And then if we do crack down the way, we could be looking back into that pattern. Indeed, there's measured moves that go above and beyond it. If you were to get the full measured move off the pattern sake of things by having cracked down and down and down, you would know about that all along the way anyway. There's certain key areas that we put in the horizontal lines the yellow, green, blue, and red line that's on the chart. You'll see them during the show as well. We need to take out that yellow to start getting positive. We need to take out 39 to look to 42. We could go up to 39. Trading within the range was easier. Remains the case with regards to the overall larger rectangle, if you like, of the ups that we've got over the back period of the last sort of week. And if we then move towards the downside, going down past 32, significant area for us. Next significant area comes in at sort of $30,700, $28,000. Then afterwards, you could even be looking as far down as 17, 18, 19,000. But there is the CME gap along the way, which I would pay attention to and see how the prices respond when and if we were to get there at any time. Now, of course, that would all requires us to, at the very least, break down below the 236 here in the 50-minute time frame, down at 34,000 at the minute. It depends on your particular perspective and approach to the market. That's your summary. In fact, I could probably just publish that as a video in and of itself, because that is the Bitcoin. That's the Bitcoin. That's the Bitcoin. So thanks so much to everybody. I will watch if lower time frames get totally oversold, very deep with it pumps, blah blah blah. Sorry, I'm speaking across myself, says Tradespot. That's cool. I never also go all in when I trade my day trade. Start with 1/10. Never higher leverage than 2x. There we go. So Remco knows what he's doing. Good to have you, buddy. It's nice to have another another trader that's familiar to all what we're doing here. It helps validate the channel for people who are new here as well. You know, with regards to whether or not everything I've just said is complete BS. You know, you at least, you know, it's good to have people who, while they might not be authorities, are at least know enough about what they're talking about themselves to make a educated decision on whether or not to stick around. Really do appreciate that. Safe with crypto, awesome. Thanks for the summary. Didn't expect that. Total star. I love yous all so much. I guess this all just comes from the heart. I say that it's almost like I'm taking the piss, but that's the truth. I mean, what are you going to do? So cool. That's it. We did it, everybody. Drop the mic. Have a good night. I'll catch you later. I don't think I'll publish my videos immediately. I don't actually know if I'll publish the individual videos today. I really should, for the benefit of all the people who don't tune into the live streams. But it takes so much work, and I can't be asked. I really can't be. Totally tired and don't want to do the work. Anyway, if I decide to do the work, then you'll see that come in. I'll almost certainly have shaved by the time you see me again. See you next time. See you next time, people. See you next time. Feel free to chat amongst yourself. I'll leave the stream running for 5 minutes. I'm going to just take myself away from here now, though, and make myself a cup of tea. See you now.